Okay, moving right along. Report out of closed session. The Board of Education met in closed session to discuss board deliberation regarding student discipline cases, public employee employment, appointment, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, non-reelects, conference with labor negotiator, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, and conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. The board gave further direction to district staff and took action on the following. We pulled consent agenda item for GA1 for a separate vote as follows. A motion was made by Mrs. Smith and seconded by Mr. Holguin and approved the assistant principal location to be determined, Shamish Irving. This was approved by the Board of Education by the following vote: 3 yes, no no's, no abstention. That motion carried. And then number 2, a motion was made by Mr. Holguin and seconded by Mrs. Smith and approved the assistant principal location to be determined again, Nadia Kakish. This was approved by the Board of Education by the following vote: 3 yes and no no's. And number 3, a motion was made by Mrs. Smith and seconded by Mr. Holguin and approved the elementary assistant principal at La Jolla Elementary, Elizabeth Soto. This was approved by the Board of Education by the following vote: 3 yes and no no's. And finally, number 4, a motion was made by Mr. Holguin and seconded by Mrs. Smith and approved the assistant principal with a location to be determined later, Dr. Afton Wright. This was approved by the Board of Education by the following vote: 3 yes and no no's. Okay, Dr. Verdi, are you able to introduce our new? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Johnson. You got one more item.
Oh, where?
Your report before we can introduce the employees.
Okay, where am I? Did I write that one? Is that the one on the bottom? The motion was made by Mrs. Smith. Okay. Which one is it?
The notice of intent to dismiss.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Here it is. I have it mixed in with some other stuff. The notice of intent to dismiss and statement of charges for a classified employee, ID number 193630. This was approved by the Board of Education by the following vote: Ms. Smith, aye; Mr. Holguin, aye; Mr. Johnson, aye. Now, I think that's it. Dr. Verdi, would you please introduce our new employees?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. It's my privilege to introduce to the board and to our district community the 4 newest assistant principals for Moreno Valley Unified out of a very competitive pool and recruitment. We are very, very excited to welcome these individuals that are new to our district, or in one case, a longtime employee who's taking her next step in her career with us. So with that, first I will introduce Ms. Elizabeth Soto, who will be joining us as the elementary assistant principal for La Jolla Elementary School. Ms. Soto, congratulations again. And if you'd like to say a few words to the Board of Education at this time, you are welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes. I am honored and humbled by the opportunity my new Moreno Valley Unified School District family has offered me. I'm excited to work alongside of Dr. Nicole Mashiri to serve our students, families, staff, and community at La Jolla Elementary. I would like to thank my family for always supporting me and believing in me, and Dr. Kedziora, Dr. Verdi, and the School Board of Education for the opportunity to join this new family. Thank you. Gracias.
Okay.
Our next new assistant principal, Mr. Johnson, that it's my privilege to introduce to you this evening. Joining us from another district. We're glad to have this individual becoming a part of our team here in Moreno Valley. That's Miss Nadia Kakish. Miss Kakish, congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Verdi. Thank you, everyone, and good evening. My name is Nadia Kakish, a teacher of 18 years, an assistant principal of 5 years, and a continuous learner for a lifetime. Thank you so much for this opportunity to work within the Moreno Valley School District. I'm truly honored and thankful to the board and to the cabinet for trusting me within this position to help grow and strengthen our students into future leaders. Dr. Kidziora, I admire your 11 commitments and I promise to withhold them with honor and respect. I'm excited for this new journey and I know this will bring forth amazing new connections and relationship. Thanks also goes back out to my family for supporting me 100%. Thank you all and good evening.
Okay.
We're also very honored to have joined our Moreno Valley family as a new assistant principal, also with some great experience and some great ideas that she's going to bring to our district. That's Dr. Afton Wright. Dr. Wright, congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Board of Education, Cabinet, and Superintendent Dr. Kitsior for this momentous occasion. Thank you, family and friends that are watching. As a new assistant principal in the district, I look forward to building relationships with staff, parents, and students to create opportunities for an equitable education. I'm coming from San Bernardino City Unified, where I started in 2003, and I'm so excited to create new memories in Moreno Valley Unified School District. Thank you again for trusting me. It's an amazing opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, it's my privilege to introduce you to a new assistant principal. She's been with the district here since 2001. As a very renowned English teacher with Moreno Valley Unified, and she's excited to be taking this next step in her career with us. Ms. Shamish Irving. Ms. Irving, congratulations again, ma'am, and welcome.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much. I would like to take the time to thank my superintendent, Dr. Kidziora, the board members and cabinet for this gracious opportunity to serve you in the capacity of leadership. I am honored of your trust in me, and I look forward to doing the work and collaborating. I also would like to both recognize and thank my amazing parents and family for their love and support, and I look forward to making all of you proud of me. Again, thank you.
Okay. Is that it?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Those are all the introductions, sir.
Well, thank you, Dr. Verdi, and we'd like to also, again, on behalf of the board, to welcome all of our new folks and the folks that have been promoted. We know that Moreno Valley Unified is the #1 district in Southern California, well, in California. And so you're choosing a great, great school district. And we're happy that you guys are joining us to show us your expertise and help us with our students. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, I'd like to report out.
Can we, Mr. Johnson, can we, I don't know if Ms. Smith wants to say something, Ms. Smith.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes. Yes, you guys have any comments concerning the new hires? Mrs. Smith?
Yes, sure. I'd like to say welcome to all of you. Welcome to Moreno Valley Unified School District. We're so happy to have you with us. And Ms. Irving, you're promoting up. We're always happy to see people promoted from within, as well as to welcome those of you who are coming from outside of the district. It's great to have you on board and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
I would just like to add for you, Ms. Irving, thank you for continuing being part of our family, and for you, Ms. Kikish, Ms. Soto, and Dr. Wright. Thank you so much for choosing our district to come and share your knowledge, your talent, your commitment to education. And you know, I'm positive that our students are going to benefit from that. And I appreciate you joining our fine team here in the school district. We have an amazing team in all different levels. And I am so glad that you are becoming part of that team too. So welcome, I'm wishing you the best, and we are here to support you as much as we can, whenever we can, and wish you the best. you've succeeded, our students are going to succeed. So wish you the best. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
And again, I thank you guys for choosing our district. You couldn't have gotten a better district in the entire California. And we're looking forward to you working with us to improve the education of all of our students, those that we have now and those that we envision having in the future. So again, welcome aboard, and let's get to work. Okay, next, I would like to report out, am I right, Claudia? Report out the closed session?
No, we're
Uh-oh.
on to the pledge.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I? I'm trying to get too fast. Oh, will we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? We're going to be led by Delana Pinto Antero, a second grader from one of our outstanding schools, Northridge Elementary. Please stand.
Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry. Before we move on to the pledge, if you can give Dr. Kidziora a minute just to speak to our
Okay.
new employees. I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay. My fault too. Dr. Kidziora, I apologize.
Well, I just
you-
didn't want them to think that I didn't care. You know, they were thanking me, but I just wanted
No.
y'all to know that I'm really happy. You know, one of you knows where you're going and three of you don't. It's like, what's that place? You know, like you don't know where you're going. What is that called? Like that island? What is that called?
Fantasy Island?
Gilligan's?
Yeah, maybe Fantasy Island or Choose Your Adventure. But you know, you're taking a lot of trust to, you know, come here and not know where you're going. But you know, there's 40 schools, and guess what? Each one of you is going to make wherever you go wonderful or better. So I just want you to know we're excited and we appreciate that you are all willing to be in leadership right now, because it takes so much and we need people who are excited and passionate just like you are and came across in your interviews. So thank you very much and congratulations.
You're quite welcome, Dr. Kidziora. Okay. Now Claudia, could we please stand for our pledge?
My name is Delaney Pinto. I am in second grade Northridge Elementary School. Please put your right hand over your heart and stand. Ready, begin. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Outstanding. Great job. Great job. We are very, very proud of you. Okay. Report out of closed session. The Board of Education met in closed session to discuss.
Mr. Johnson, you already did that, sir.
Oh, I did. Shoot, boy. No, wait a minute.
We're on E2, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, D2. Okay. Report of student discipline cases. We met.
No, E2.
We're on page 6, sir.
See, here I go again. Dates of future board meetings. The Governor of California approved Assembly Bill number 361 on September the 16th, 2021. And this bill until January 31st, 2022 would authorize, subject to specified notice and accessibility requirements, a legislative body as defined for purposes of the act to hold public meetings through teleconferencing and to make public meetings accessible telephonically or otherwise electronically to all members of the public seeking to observe and to address the legislative body. Now, the Board of Education have a discussion, the Board of Education to have a discussion regarding future board meetings if to continue board meetings to be virtual per Assembly Bill number 361, and to have discussions every 30 days regarding the format of the meeting. Dates of the upcoming board meetings were shared as follows. December the 14th, 21, we'll begin closed session at 4, open session at 6, virtual again, and organizational regular meeting. Okay. 7 here.
Mr. Johnson, if you can have a discussion with your board and make sure that you guys would like to continue virtually, that's what the purpose of this item is for. We just need to make sure that the public understands if you do wish to continue virtually. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Smith and Mr. Hogan, do you have any inputs on whether or not we should continue the way we are right now, or report in? Any thoughts from you two guys?
Well, I know Mr. Holguin wants to go last, so I'll let him do that by going before. So I would just like to say, I feel very comfortable with the virtual setup that we have been using. I know that many members of the public would like us to start meeting non-virtually so that they can come to the board meetings and we can have a more regular board meeting. I know that that has been a subject of some concern in the community. But I think maybe we need to wait just a little bit longer. They've given us until January 31st, 2022, which is only, we have this December meeting, and then I think we have one in January. So that's only 2 meetings out. And then we could possibly be back in our regular meeting in the boardroom in February. So I think maybe we should look to that and approve the virtual meeting setup for now.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Mr. Hogan?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Smith. And it's not that I want to go last, is I want you to go first.
Well, if you want to go
first.
last, I'll go if you want to go last.
No, that's okay. Just I'll make my comment, but I just wanted to know that Mrs. Smith should go first. And
Okay.
so my comment is I think I think we should continue this virtual mode for now, maybe December, and we can have another discussion in December and see where we are as far as the vaccination, as far as the masks, as far as all the different elements related to the pandemic. But for the December meeting, I think we can continue virtually. And just with the understanding that there is accessibility for the public to make comments, public comments. I think that's one of the biggest concerns of the community, that they want to have a way to communicate with the board, and there is accessibility. So there is a lot of descriptions as to how that accessibility is open for the public. So with that, I think it is good to continue virtually for the meeting in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. And I'll close by saying I agree with you guys. I am ready to have the open meetings like we've had in the past. But as we read and as we watch TV, we still see quite a few people are being affected by this virus, and they're still ill, and of course we've lost quite a few people. If there's something else that we can do to invite our community so they can watch us, I'd appreciate that. But I think it's best for them as well as us, because we all live in the same community, and we should do the very best that we can to keep those that are around us safe, those in our community safe, meaning when we go out to visit different schools, and as well as the folks that attend our meetings. So I agree with my colleagues. I think that we should continue the rate that we're going right now, and perhaps look down the road the next month or two and see how everything is going, and then make another decision concerning whether we be inside or away. So that's my comments. Dr. Kitts, are there any comments from you and your cabinet, or ready to move on?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Well, moving right along. Future board meetings continued. The next board meeting will be December the 14th.
Mr. Johnson, you already did that. We're now on page 7.
I did that?
Mhm.
Twice I've already done that. Okay, E3, adoption of governance handbook. The Board of Education will review its governance handbook and make any updates, changes as necessary. And the Governing Board Handbook addresses such topics as the board's mission and priorities, roles and responsibilities, protocols, and effective governance and positive. Since I've already read this part, I would like to, and we only have 3 folks, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this. Can I get a second, please?
Mr. Johnson, would you like to give your colleagues an opportunity to have a discussion regarding the governance handbook?
Okay. Thank you, Claudia.
Yes,
Mrs. Smith and Mr. Hogan, anything you would like to discuss concerning this item?
Well, we did meet on 2 different occasions to put together this handbook. So I think we've had ample opportunity to look at it, to go over it. You know, we had a rough draft for several months now and had opportunity to comment on that. So I think it looks very good. It looks like what we put together and what we already had the rough, it looks very similar to the rough draft. Well, really exactly like the rough draft, but okay. So I think it's good. I don't have any questions. I don't have anything that I would like to change on this document as we see here today.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hogan?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yes, like Ms. Smith mentioned, we met a couple of times and we had a lot of opportunities to discuss together the development of this handbook, and we all of us had the opportunity to give our input, our ideas, our suggestions. I think this is a great handbook. This is a great tool that is going to serve, as the handbook mentions, not only the current board, but also future board members that would join. And there is also an opportunity to review it annually for any updates, any modifications as necessary. But I think this is a great tool again. And as the handbook states, this handbook was developed as a project to improve our governance team, which is, you know, I think that is one of our priorities to improve our work, our team, the way we deal with business in the school district, and to strengthen our leadership. It defines who we are and how we operate as a group. I think it is important to keep in mind the team concept, because our students are looking at us, our community is looking at us, and everything we do as a team reflects on the education of our students at every site, at every office. And it is important for us to stay that way. So I'm truly thankful that this idea came to surface and it was developed. I thank my colleagues, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Johnson, but I also thank Dr. Locke, who's also mentioned in the handbook as a greatest contributor of this handbook, and of course, Mr. Peden too. But I think this tool, again, is going to serve for a long time, and it will allow us always to keep in mind what's our why. And that's one of the elements, and in fact, one of the commitments in our district from our superintendent. So once again, I'm thankful. I'm so excited that this handbook is now available, and without any doubt, I'm ready to support the adoption of this handbook. So thank you so much.
And I thank you, Mr. Hogan and Mrs. Smith. And I feel the same way too. I think it's a great tool, and you can tell a lot of hard work went into drafting it and getting it ready. And I'm pretty sure that our public will also be well satisfied with it. So do want to thank again, Dr. Kessier and his entire team for working with that and in getting it ready for us to move forward with. You know, we were talking about this last weekend about districts that are doing some great work. We had a you know, we talked with some individuals when we were out of town, and I will tell you, I know you guys were very proud, just like I was, to be able to talk with other folks about the things that we're doing here, and folks were just like eating up our ideas. So I do want to make sure that we say congratulations to our superintendent and his cabinet and everybody in the entire district for the work that they've done to make this district one of the best in Southern California. So with that being said, thank you. And then let's move on. Unless we have any more comments. Any more comments? Anyone?
Mr. Johnson, I would like to move to adopt the governance handbook as presented.
Okay, Mr. Hogan, and can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and Mrs. Smith. So we moved and seconded to adopt governance handbook as presented. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. So we have 3 ayes, motion carried, no noes. Okay, move on to page 9. Okay, so we have no more questions concerning the handbook, then, right? So let's move on. Recognition communication events.
Mr. Johnson, we're on page 29, sir.
29, did I miss that? Did I have it?
We're in E4, Mr. Johnson.
I thought I had it marked.
We're in E4.
Yeah, here we go. School reports. High school student board representative Aish Paliki. A 12th grade, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. 12th grade student.
Mr. Johnson, remember it's Zoe Volmer?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Hang on, sweetie. No, it's okay. Hold on. Mr. Johnson, it's Zoe Volmer. She's still from Vista Delago High School.
Zoe Volmer, yeah. I have it written down right here on my page. Okay, yes, 12th grade at Vista Delago.
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Zoe.
I'm really sorry. Is it okay if you give me 5 minutes? I'm currently coming home from ASB right now. Is it okay if you give me just 5 more minutes so I can pull up the document?
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Why don't we have the superintendent's report and then go back to Zoe?
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, Dr. Kessier, are you ready? Because if you're not, then we'll just have to wait 5 more minutes.
I'm ready.
Okay.
You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I appreciate that people bring up about the 11 commitments and how important they are. And one of the things that is it okay if I keep going? Okay. I think there's like something wrong with the sound. Is that, am I?
No, it's perfect here.
There's something ringing and stuff, and it's who? Oh, okay.
Me?
So, it's fine. So it all worked itself out. So one of the things we talk about in our 11 commitments is thinking through these, and one of them is listen to understand and use good manners and act in a professional and authentic manner. This was just a few, but we ask our applicants when they apply here to tell us about these 11 commitments and which ones have meaning to them. And so it's something that's a standard in our district, but something that we fall back on because This is how we have excellence on purpose and we shine brighter. Our vision statement to empower students to become future ready and positively impact the world. This is important because we know that through giving students opportunities, they work better in the world, but they also work better in the school district. And then our mission statement will provide an equitable education, and equitable being a very important word there, for all students to be prepared for college and or a viable career path for a successful life. And successful life is an important piece of this because everybody wants their child to be successful and to have a good life. And we do that through the education of our students, but not only academically, but socially and emotionally. And then our portrait of a graduate is something we look at each time. And these are characteristics that we'd like for every student to graduate from the Moreno Valley Unified School District with: communication, creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, adaptability, and perseverance. And then in our strategic plan, there are 5 goals and there are 2 or 3 outcomes per goal. And this is something we use to measure our success. And this is an important part of anything that we do in our school district. So as you look at the next slides, you'll see on those, as we advance to those, that and this one, is it there? Okay. Is the portrait of a graduate. And this is Hector Serrato Urias. And he's a student at Vista Delago High School. And one of the qualities that Hector possesses is perseverance. There was an issue on Friday night at Vista Delago's championship football game, and Hector was at school on Monday. And I want you to know, I kept checking on him over the weekend, but he was at school on Monday. And I find that to be very just applauding, but that really exemplifies perseverance. He's participated in football for all 4 years, and he's ranked 2nd in rushing yards on the team, 127 carries for 664 yards, averaging 5.2 yards for each carry. He also wrestled for 2 years. He's a candidate for the first all-league football team for the 21-22 season, Mr. Johnson, and he has an excellent chance of making it. He's also a major contributor to Vista Delago, earning the title of the Inland Valley League champions for 2 years in a row, as well as the school's league record of 8 wins and 0 losses. So Hector is really something, and so is Vista Delago, and we're really proud of them. And thank you, Dr. Dunhams, for telling me about him and sharing about how he persevered in spite of what he went through on Friday night at Vista Delago High School. And then Danny Torres is a graduate of our district, but we're doing something called Civic Engagement, where we're bringing back alumni in this pandemic because we have a shortage of substitutes and a shortage of people to help in different situations. And every day, Ana E. Velasco, who's the Director of Communications and Community Engagement, works with these interns to provide them opportunities to help our district and help during this pandemic. And they're all very engaged and they want to do this. He's the class of 2021 alumni from Moreno Valley High School. During the first 2 weeks, he helped 5 schools that needed support in the health office. And he also received his support, reached out and let us know how helpful everybody that's worked with him let us know how helpful he was and requested additional assistance from him. He's eager to learn more and goes above and beyond to support. He communicates well with anyone he's working with and to ensure that he's meeting their expectations. He's even helping with onboarding the process of new interns. I wish you could all meet him. His communication skills are incredible. He comes from a family of 5 and he's helping his mother through this pandemic, and just a wonderful individual. The next student is another intern, and this is adaptability. Evelyn Campos, who's from Canyon Springs High School, the class of 2021. Again, this is civic engagement, bringing them back to support our district during this pandemic, and I want you to know they want to help. Evelyn started interning with us about 2 weeks ago. Ideally, we want interns to be at one location, but due to the needs, we've asked her to help a few schools out. She's been supportive and eager to at any one of the schools she's requested to assist. For example, one day she was assigned to support a school. The project required more time and she reached out to request to come back to that school in order to support them. Isn't that amazing? You don't find that a lot in different people, but this is the kind of students that graduate from Moreno Valley Unified School District and come back to support. I wish you could meet Anthony Messias. He's an intern and he's a class of 2021 from Vista Delago High School. He plans to become a doctor, and we know that he will reach that goal and whatever goals he sets for himself. He's very talented and quick to learn new things. Everywhere he goes, we receive wonderful comments and feedback about him. Our nurses and health technicians enjoy working with him. We actually received a compliment today from one of the secretaries. They said, "Thank you for sending Anthony. He's wonderful with the kids. He's calm and reassuring to the children. He is great with the parents and he's very knowledgeable regarding the health office. Again, thank you so much." Collaboration, that's the quality. But I just want to say that we could not do the work we do in our district without these alumni and this civic engagement of coming back and giving back. This is another student. He's here tonight. He's actually shadowing Christian Rivera because he wants to learn more about the district. He's an intern in the class of 2020 alumni, and he exemplifies the 11 commitments of our proficient and time effective. He started off wanting to be a lawyer, which he could be because he met, that's how we met. And after interning a few months with us, he decided to change his major to align with communications and digital media. He plans to earn a communications degree at Moreno Valley College and transfer to California State Fullerton to major in communications with a concentration in public relations. Anybody who has visited the schools are familiar with his work. He's helped create the COVID-19 signage that you see in the classroom, such as the hand washing poster, the how to wear your face mask poster, and how to remove your face mask poster, safety reminders, directional signage in the parking lots, and much more. His support during this time has been invaluable to our district as COVID-19 introduced many new challenges and needs as it comes to communication. We're grateful for having Damien as an intern with us. He's a quick learner and has gone above and beyond in all situations that he is assigned to. This next person is a community member, and this is Steve Wallace, and he enhances community through action. He serves on our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. He has his own business in our community. And Mr. Wallace called me the other night and talked to me about a few things. And he said to me, "Dr. Kidzior, let me know how I can help you. What do you need?" I don't hear that too often. Usually people are upset, telling me what they're upset about, what they don't like, and which is fine. That's why I'm here. But it was really refreshing and welcoming to get a call from a community member and say, you know, "Dr. Kidzior, what do you need help with?" And then he told me how important it was for him to be on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, because he said as a business owner, he is so proud of our district and what we do with Measure M funds. He said every penny is accounted for. And as you know, through our audits, there are never any findings and it's always spent as it was intended. So thank you, Mr. Wallace, for what you contribute and how you support our district. On December the 9th, Steve Quintero is the proud principal of March Mountain High School. And Dr. Esperanza Arce worked with Mr. Quintero to develop an application on a model school visit. And so the state of California, the California Department of Education, will be visiting March Mountain High School to validate their application for the amazing programs that encourage students to continue their education and earn credits towards their diploma. And Tamara Handysides is the assistant principal and works right along Mr. Quintero. But we're very proud of the programs there, and we're looking forward to that visit on December the 9th to confirm that. As you know, Nautica Neal on the next slide is the new director of wellness and community engagement. And anybody that was at the trunk or treat at Vista Delago High School on Wednesday, October 27th, truly saw her work in action and how proud we were of all the community members that came out and joined us to support our community in a very safe way to trunk or treat, as they call it. And as you can see there, they had parents vote for the best trunk or treat, and that is the Office of Professional Development and Digital Learning, who won under the direction of Smiley Villavicencio and Renee Rogenero. And then the best costume, I think that was Business Services, wasn't it? Susanna Lopez and her team, who had the best costumes. So it was really a fun time, really a great event to bring community together. And thank you all for participating and supporting it. But thank you, Mrs. Neal, for what you're doing and how you're changing our community through these positive efforts. I just want you to know I visited Palm Middle School the other day. I visit schools every week, but this particular day I went because the students wrote me a letter, and I told you about this in the last meeting, but they wrote me a letter about a project they were doing on recycling. Now, y'all, I want you to know, I don't know if you can see, but this is at Palm Middle School in Mr. Gerhard's class, and it's 2:30 in the afternoon and school gets out at 2:36. Those students were not packing up to go. I said to them, does Mr. Gerhard give y'all a minute to, like, you know, they go, no, we work right up until 2:36. And I just want to say how much I admire those young people at Palm Middle School. Dr. Melanie Harris is the principal. This is our STEAM school, and these students are all in the STEAM program there, and brilliant. And if you ever want to hear some real goals and aspirations, come visit with me to that school because they're amazing. Mr. Johnson, I hope you hear this because you asked me about this. This is esports, and Moreno Valley Unified School District is hosting a winter tournament. Josh Combs, excuse me, and Peter Whitmore. They are spearheading this out of Technology, Innovation, and Assessment, and Glenn Allegre, the Executive Director. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. on December 15th, and I hope you'll all go there, the board, and see our students as they compete in esports, a new emerging field where students compete virtually in activities where they're engaged. It has all kinds of implications for business and being involved in a greater community of something that we've never done, most of us, but esports. And so put that on your calendar. And Claudia, let them know about that December 15th from 2 to 4 p.m. at March Mountain High School. And thank you, Mr. Quintero, for hosting that. And then at the county level, Riverside County has an esports symposium, and they already had this on Thursday, November 4th. Or is that this week? No, it was last week. Yeah, I have to remember what. But I want you to know that we're very proud of Josh Combs and Peter Whitmore of our Technology, Innovation, and Assessment Department, because they co-presented with people on the national level about what's happening in esports in Moreno Valley Unified School District. And so congratulations to them, and we're very proud of them. This morning in Moreno Valley, the College Board came to visit our school district. This was a very quick visit. This was the College Board New York leadership team, and they reached out in search of our input, and they're in search of feedback on our programs and the current reality of student needs, primarily around the areas of SAT and advanced placement testing. We were proud to have a panel there. There were several school districts represented. This was put together rather quickly. The College Board wanted to come, and Dr. Arce, who's the director of secondary, and Smiley Villavicencio quickly, made this happen under the direction of Maribel Maddox, our chief academic officer. But it was from 8:30 to 10 this morning, and they had groups coming in all day from different districts, but they met here in our district, and they're very proud of the work we've done here, as you know, in advanced placement, being the Advanced Placement District of the Year in 2019, and the work that we still do with advanced placement. So very proud of that. Our sports teams continue at each high school to excel, and I just want to say congratulations to Canyon Springs High School's girls varsity cross-country team, the 2021 Inland Valley League champions. The entire team will participate in CIF on Friday, November 12th at 10:05 a.m. This is the first league championship for our girls cross-country team since 2010, Mr. Johnson. Since 2010. Boys varsity finished in second place in league and will also be going to CIF as a team. The last team participation was in 2013. Individual accolades go to Carla Baltazera Zamora and Francisco Nito Sanchez, earning girls and boys individual Inland Valley League cross country champions. Congratulations to all of our cross country champions. But thank you to Mrs. Kerr, the principal, and Justin Remington and all the coaches for what they do to accelerate the performance of these students in this activity. You're going to continue to hear more about that. Canyon Springs High School Theater Company, congratulations to our intermediate advanced theater technical drama classes for having 5 entries make finals in the field of 50 high schools at the Drama Teachers Association of Southern California Fall Festival. All of awards will be announced via the YouTube channel on Sunday, November 14th. And the finalists are Maria Carrero Luna and Faith Grace for costume and makeup design, Shane Smith, Maya Hernandez, Fresquez, and Aja Soria for set design, Kenya Alicia, Angelina Torres, Devin Triplett, and Sergio Venegas for graphics and publicity design, Amy Moore Kendall Tracy, and Micaiah Diarte for acting in the category of playwrights of color, and Emily Salsas and Isabella Vite for acting in the category of same scene. You know, they're under the direction of a new theater teacher there this year, a theater director, Autumn Earl Rodriguez. She came from Vista Heights Middle School. She moved up to high school, and she's making her mark this year with these students. And we're very proud of them, what they've already accomplished in such a short time. 5 entries make finals in a field of 50 schools. Canyon Springs High School. Tamara Kerr is the principal. Congratulations. Our girls volleyball team at Moreno Valley High School, all the way to the 3rd round. Leah Snell's the coach, Brad Alcock's the athletic director, Toysha Brown's the principal. They've never gone this far before. And so 3rd round of CIF girls volleyball, that was huge. And so we're very proud of them. Congratulations. In fall sports, Moreno Valley High School, they've had a great year with cross-country CIF qualifiers and all the way to the 2nd round, just league champions in cross-country. So we're very proud. And these kids can run here. I'm telling you, I wish I could run that. I see them and I'm thinking, how do they do this? The next one is a big one. This is Vista Delago High School. They are football champions. On to the 2nd round of CIF playoffs. This is huge. Their school has had a turnaround in football. Mike Toohey is the football coach, and just has made remarkable results with these young men. And November the 12th, this Friday at 7 o'clock at Torrance High School. And you know, this has never happened before at Vista Delago High School. This is history. And we're very proud of all the football players and all the coaches and all the people who support the Raven values at Vista Delago High School. And thank you, Dr. Dana Dunhams, who is their biggest cheerleader and their principal. Vista Delago High School cross country CIF qualifier, on to the CIF preliminary, Saturday, November 13th. Jetse Ayala, fifth at league finals. Ray Hughes and Taylor Aridia, cross country coaches. I just want to say thank you for working so hard and making all of these things happen, students. Valley View High School, boys water polo. They went to the 3rd round of CIF at Valley View. They had a phenomenal season. They were the league champs for their league, but they when they went to the CIF finals, and they you know, they've won 2 years, 18 and 19. They were the CIF champions, and they thought they were going to do that again. And you know, they do have the will. They are terror in the water. If you've ever seen people when they beat Centennial High School in Corona Norco that day, I was there, and they were just amazed. But they're also more amazed at these students and their manners and their respect and how they support each other. Very proud of them. Valley View High School's dance program under the leadership of Ebony Houston, one of the most phenomenal dance teachers in the area. I just want you to know, if you ever get a chance, they're having a signature dance program for their seniors, and it's November the 17th through the 19th. And I mean, just amazing what they accomplish. And there will be COVID protocols in place. But this is truly magnificent what they're doing there. And Karen Johnson is the principal, and it does meet goal 4 of our strategic plan. Our VAPA program, under the direction of Renee Ruggiero, who's the coordinator, and Smiley Villavicencio, I just want you to know they do reports because this is through our local control accountability plan. And according to the California Arts Education Data Project, the state average for visual and performing arts for secondary participation in all California public schools is 39%. Within the Moreno Valley Unified School District, an impressive 49.28% of our students are participating in visual and performing arts, 10% higher than most schools in California. This is especially remarkable given the fact that Moreno Valley Unified School District is recovering from the effects of COVID and with lower participation last year. The overall district VAPA participation rate is 41.52%, but that's a growth of 2.26%, and we'll be giving you more findings every trimester. They do a report, and I gave that to you, board, for you to read, but I've lifted these out of there so the public can hear about the accolades and the progress. And as you know, we received a Golden Bell in Visual and Performing Arts last year, and this is the reason why, one of the reasons. Now, Renee Ruggiero, I want you to know she's working with our elementary students to develop talent. And do you sing, dance, or play an instrument? If you'd like to share your talent, please record a video of yourself. She has a place to submit it. And she's looking to showcase talent in our district all the time, have them perform at events. This builds confidence and makes them compelling when they walk into a room because of their performances. She truly brings the best out in children. And I'm looking forward to more opportunities where we can showcase the talents of the children who attend Moreno Valley Unified School District. And then on this next slide, you'll see that the parent project for this time ends on November the 18th. But they say give us 24 hours and it'll change your life. But these are the parents who come really attest to this, and you can start at any time, and this will continue next semester too. But I thank Dr. Sheffield and her team for providing these opportunities. Adult education is a wonderful program in our district, and Dr. Bazanos is the principal. They have a medical pathway. They currently offer medical assistance training, and in January, they're bringing back certified phlebotomy tech classes, and they're going to add each EKG tech classes. You can be certified. So that's Andresia, an Indian, and I hope that you'll check that out if you are interested. It's a wonderful program, and they have more programs than that there. We're continuing to do outreach to hire. We have lots of positions. December the 4th is the next job fair that Dr. Verdi and his team will host. We're doing everything we can to try to help recruit people. We need bus drivers, custodians, campus support aides, instructional assistants. But on December the 4th, they're going to be interviewing, fingerprinting, and offering conditional offers of employment. That's right on the spot. So that's very creative and clever. I'm very proud of them and what they're doing. Then Nautica Neal will be offering the bountiful harvest to our community. 100 families were selected to receive all the items for a complete Thanksgiving meal. This is going to be at the Wellness Center at Creekside Elementary School on November the 19th from 3:45 to 5 p.m. And just a lot of outreach and community. But Discovery Church contacted me today, and if you can't make it to that one and get something, they're going to have a meal distribution on Monday, November 22nd, with free Thanksgiving meals. Meal baskets will be distributed on a first come, first served basis while supplies last. And they didn't tell me how many, they just said they wanted me to get the word out. So that's what I'm doing. And I want to thank Donnie Criswell, who's the youth pastor there, and Discovery Church for the partnership they have with our schools and how they help our community. Today, November the 4th was Diwali National Day, and Diwali is the biggest holiday of the year in India. It's the festival that symbolizes the spiritual victory of light over darkness, and it celebrates good over evil and knowledge over ignorance. The festival is associated with Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity. And so I just want to let everyone know who celebrates or knows about this, that this is an important time of the year. this Thursday is Veterans Day, and we want to salute our veterans, and we know we have more than we have listed here. Mr. Johnson served 20 years in the Air Force. We salute you, Mr. Johnson. Lisa Brimfield served 6 years in the Army, and Daryl Scott served 6 years in the Marines. And, you know, on Veterans Day, we always take pause to recognize those who gave of their time and their service to help our country remain free and proud as we are today. So thank you everyone for what you've done. And I'd also like, I said this on the phone call tonight, I want to thank my father for serving in Vietnam and Korea and dedicating his life to the Marines and supporting and serving our country. On the next slide it's Native American Heritage Month. And we recognize it's Native American Heritage Day on November the 27th, but we recognize individuals who have contributed to the Native American culture and ancestry and also current day politics. And it is never too late to learn something about other people and to celebrate accomplishments about all people. It's part of what we do, and it's part of equity in Moreno Valley Unified School District. And I'm very proud of the inclusivity and what we do to promote everyone's whatever they celebrate. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Quite welcome. Very good report, and thank you for mentioning the veterans, even though I know it's a holiday now, but I have a couple of things I'm going to say as well about that. But thank you very much, Dr. Ketchiora. Is Zoe, our student rep, is she ready yet, you think?
Yes, she's
Claudia?
on.
Yes.
She's on.
Is she ready to go?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sorry about before. Thank you guys for understanding. Good evening, Board Vice President Johnson, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Ketchiora, teachers, parents, students, and community. I am Zoe Volmer, ASD Vice President representing Vista Delago High School, and I am here tonight to bring you exciting news from our campus. As we continue the school year, we remain focused on developing our Raven values of respect, achieve, value, engage, never give up, and succeed, as well as our school motto to take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the school. To highlight Hispanic Heritage Month, Vista Delago had many activities, celebrations, and informational opportunities for our students and the Vista Delago community. Every morning during the morning announcements, we announce notable Hispanic American figures with a brief biographical background of their contributions to the advancement of the culture and country. In consideration of our diverse campus, we have a variety of activities planned by our clubs and various organizations. For this month, and in honor of El Día de los Muertos and Day of the Dead altar was made by our Mecha Club. In addition to the altar, we had performances by our Ballet Floperico dance team during both lunches. The students here at Vista Delago have been extremely busy with planning and supporting various events on campus and our community. Homecoming was a very safe and successful event. In addition, we hosted and volunteered at the district office sponsored trunk or treat that served hundreds of Moreno Valley families. Our Ravens had the most amazing time serving the community. Not only has ASB served and celebrated the greater Moreno Valley community, but they also found the time to acknowledge our student body and their accomplishments through our recognitions of Athlete of the Week, Raven Character Awards, and Student of the Month. We are currently working on our academic assembly to recognize our Raven scholars. Our counseling department has been extremely fixed on facilitating activities these past few months to spread kindness and awareness. September was dedicated to suicide prevention. The month of October was focused on anti-bullying and Red Ribbon Week. We also had college kickoff activities in October. We had motivating morning announcements and encouraging messages along with opportunities to pledge your support, participate in lunchtime games, and other activities to promote these causes. For Red Ribbon Week, our counseling department hosted a drug-free door decorating contest for our staff and an art contest for our students. They also brought Mothers Against Drunk Driving and representatives from the district attorney's office to talk about the negative effects of drugs and alcohol. We also promoted acceptance and inclusion on our campus with various chalk art activities to reinforce the beauty of our individuality. If you walk on our campus, you'll see messages written on the ground about self-love, confidence, and our Raven wellness. On to sports, our Ravens have been soaring high during this fall season. All 5 of our fall teams have competed in CIF, including girls golf, tennis, volleyball, football, and cross country. Our tennis and volleyball teams have shown their grit by winning on the road. Girls tennis won their CIF wildcard match, and girls volleyball won their first round match. We congratulate our Ravens on spectacular seasons, but the excitement does not end here. On our Raven football team earned their 2nd consecutive title as the Inland Valley League champions with a 4-0 record. Our Ravens continue to get better and better every year and are advancing to the 2nd round. Quarterfinals of the CIF off against Torrance High School this Friday. In addition, we wish the best for our senior Jetse Ayala for qualifying for CIF prelims in cross country. He will be competing this Saturday at Mount San Antonio College. As you can see, our Ravens have worked very hard coming back from quarantine, and we will continue to showcase their talents and build our programs. Good luck to football and cross country as they advance further into CIF. They have already made us so proud. This concludes my report for this evening. Are there any questions?
No, thank you. Excellent report. Colleagues, do you have any questions for Zoe? Any comments? Well, again, thank you for a wonderful report. You guys are doing some great work at your school. Keep it up. And again, thank you for making this presentation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along to recognitions. I think you're still on. Okay, yeah. I think we're at E6A, approved resolution number 202122-22, Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2021. So could I get a motion on this one, please?
So move.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, was moved by Mr. Hogan and seconded by Mrs. Smith to approve resolution number 20212222 and observance of Veterans Day as presented. Call for the, can I get a motion? Okay, I have.
Call for the vote, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, I'm sorry, call for the vote. I'm
Ms.
getting ahead of
Smith.
myself.
Aye.
Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. We have 3 ayes, no nays, no abstentions. That motion carried. Thank you, guys. Okay, now I can go on to the next item, which is Veterans Day. Am I right, Claudia? Okay. I am going to have the pleasure of reading this one, and then I've got some remarks after I read this one. Veterans Day, Major David Wright and Sergeant Willie Butts III from Vista, Delago. Are they online with us? Claudia, do you know?
Present, sir.
Oh, they're here. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys very much.
One of the two is Mr. Johnson.
Joe, just one?
One,
Okay,
yes.
that's good. I'm very, very, very pleased to hear that. So in 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, an armistice, a temporary cessation of hostilities, was declared between the Allied nations and Germany in World War I. In 1938, November the 11th officially became known as Armistice Day to mark the end of World War I. The name was later changed to Veterans Day to account for all veterans in all wars. And November the 11th serves as a day to reflect upon the heroism of those who died in service, to celebrate and honor America's veterans for their sacrifice and their commitment to our great nation. Now, on behalf of the Board of Education, I am proud to recognize November the 11th as Veterans Day. We encourage everyone to honor the men and women who have answered the call of service to protect this great nation. And we encourage all schools to undertake educational activities that commemorate the history and contributions of our nation's veterans. And I have something else I want to add. As far as veterans are concerned, many times we see veterans in uniforms, our military people in uniforms. We see veterans out and, you'll see a few people talking about their time in the service. And then on the other hand, sometimes you see people that served in the military that don't really talk about it at all, for whatever the reason. But I have something short that I want to just pass on to you guys. And most of you already know what I'm about to say. So just follow me a little bit. Many of you know that Dr. Ketziora grew up in a military home, and his father served in the Marines. Now, I thought about that at one time, but that's all I did. I thought about it. But to actually serve and be on the front line, not all the time, but for a long length of time, that is dedication, that is love for your country. And I want to take a moment of silence to think about people like Mr. Ketziora, who served well over 30 years for his country. And there are many more people just like that, men and women. And I think sometimes we take it for granted that a person goes in the military and stays 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's just something that they did. But you have to walk in their shoes, which is sometimes difficult to do, to see what they had to sacrifice in order to serve their country. I'll close by saying this. I went to the military graveyard yesterday, just the other day. I can't remember. I said yesterday, but whatever day it was. But that place was a beautiful, beautiful sight. I don't know if our kids or our students got involved, but there's a flag on every marker out there. What a beautiful sight to see that. And we're very fortunate to live in an area where we do have a military cemetery. A lot of folks don't have that. Some folks have to travel, from as far as maybe LA, from even further than that, to bring their loved ones out here. And then that means that when they want to visit, they've got a long way to go. But we're very fortunate to have a cemetery right here. So I would ask you all, anybody who's listening and watching, that if you happen to pass by, I take that back. I would make it a point to pass by and just drive in, stop for a moment, take a look at the beautiful sight, take a look at those American flags and see what they represent. And then you can turn around and be back on your way. And to all the veterans, thank you, thank you, thank you. And all of those that didn't make it, we'll never forget you. Just want to make sure that, that I said that before I moved on to reading the statement that I have. So Major David Wright, I don't know if he and Sergeant Willie Butts are listening or watching, but if they are, I'm reading this to you. In 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, an armistice, the temporary cessation of hostility, was declared between the Allied nations and Germany in World War I. Now, in 1938, November the 11th, officially became known as Armistice Day. to mark the end of World War I. The name was later changed to Veterans Day to account for all veterans in all wars. So November the 11th serves as a day to reflect upon the heroism of those who died in service, to celebrate and honor Americans veterans for their sacrifice and commitment to our great, great nation. Now, on behalf of the Board of Education, our Superintendent, Dr. Ketziora, I am proud to recognize November the 11th as Veterans Day. We encourage everyone to honor the men and women who have answered the call of service to protect this great nation. And we encourage all schools to undertake educational activities that commemorate the history and contributions of this, our great nation and veterans. So, Mr. Hogan, can you just take a moment and move on while I get my paperwork together?
Absolutely, Mr. Johnson. I'll be glad to help. So we have already adopted that resolution, and thank you, Mr. Johnson, for presenting that resolution. So now it's Mr. Dave. Sorry, I don't have his last name here.
Right.
Dave Wright. Would you please accept the resolution? And I'm here on behalf of Mr. Cleveland Johnson and Ms. Smith presenting the resolution to you. Would you please accept and would you please say a few words regarding that resolution, please?
Absolutely. I appreciate being honored for this recipient for the resolution of Veterans Day. On behalf of all the American veterans, veterans in the community, and veterans within Reno Valley Unified School District, thank you for nominating Governor Sergeant Butts and myself, or I, as recipients for the Reno Valley Unified School District Board Resolution Veterans Day, November 11, 2021. It is an honor and privilege for both of us, Governor Sergeant Butts and I, to continue to wear the uniform of this great nation on our back and to serve in the capacity of Marine Corps JROTC instructors at Vista Delago High School and with Reno Valley Unified School District. As old, crusty retirees, well, more like Gunnery Sergeant, I'm still in my 40s. We continue to put service before self for our cadets, the fellow students on campus and staff alike, and within the district, we continue to support as much as we can with limited resources that we have. We embrace the slogan that Marine Corps taught us, that one team, one fight. As Marines, we continue to live up to our Corps' value of honor, courage, and commitment, and our mission to develop courageous young adults who possess the attributes to become better citizens and role models within our community. So once again, I appreciate, and we're humbled to be awarded this nomination for the Reno Valley Unified School Board Resolution Veterans Day, November 11, 2021. And I appreciate it, everyone, for nominating us. Thank you.
Well, welcome. Thank you. Okay, I could continue, Dr. Mr. Hogan. We didn't vote yet, did we, Mr. Hogan? Or did we?
Yeah, we did adopt that resolution. We can move on.
Okay, we did. Okay, so then I want to move on now. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. And thank you, Dr. Ketziora. Please pass on to your family that we understand what your dad went through and what he did, and we appreciate the sacrifices that he made our great nation better today. Okay, thank you. Now I've gathered myself. I apologize. I practiced that, but it didn't happen when I was practicing. Okay, so I guess we're at E6. Was it B, Mr. Hogan?
Yes, we're on page 32, Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah, 32. Okay, I'm sorry. I got it now. Okay, I need to get a motion, please, on E6B, approve resolution number 20212219, Great American Smokeout Day. Could I get a motion on that one, please?
I move that we
Ms. Smith?
declare November 19th, 2021 as the Great American Smokeout Day.
I second that.
It was second. It was moved and seconded by Mrs. Smith and Mr. O'Gean that to approve the Great American Smokeout Day, November the 19th, 21. Can I call for a vote, please?
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hoageen.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Motion carried with 3 ayes, no nays, no abstention. Thank you guys very much. And moving on to E6C.
Wait,
Mr. Johnson.
I have
Wait a
a
minute,
resolution to read.
Oh. Resolution, I didn't read that. Okay, I will,
Is Ms. Smith reading the resolution, Mr. Johnson?
oh, is she reading
I
that?
am if I'm given the opportunity.
Yes, you've got the opportunity, ma'am.
Okay, the Great American Smokeout promotes people to stop smoking and helps adults and youth understand they should never start smoking. Our board is committed to promoting an alcohol-free, tobacco-free, and drug-free school environment. We know the use of tobacco products produces a health hazard to the users as well as those exposed to their secondhand smoke. The Great American Smokeout, along with other prevention awareness campaigns, helps to reduce barriers to learning, providing positive youth development, school success, and well-being. We are pleased to support and participate in the Great American Smokeout on November 19th, 2021. I would also like to mention that in this day and age, many of the youth of our country get started with using tobacco products by vaping. And I would like to say that the Great American Smokeout includes discouraging youth from vaping or using any tobacco products. Dr. Sheffield and Diana Jones-Rivera were supposed to be here to accept this award, and I understand that instead they have given a statement to Claudia to read for us. So Claudia?
Thank you, Ms. Smith. The statement I received was, the Great American Smokeout is an annual event sponsored by the American Cancer Society. It is held on the third Thursday of November. This event focuses on encouraging Americans to quit tobacco smoking. People are challenged to stop smoking for at least 24 hours, assuming that their decision not to smoke will last longer, hopefully forever. The Great American Smokeout provides an opportunity for individuals, schools, community groups, businesses, healthcare providers, and others to encourage people to use the date to make a plan to quit. This year, the Great American Smokeout is November 19th. The theme is Day One. It's a day when thousands of people can begin their journey towards a tobacco-free life. I want to encourage anyone struggling to quit tobacco to take the first step and quit for one day. It can be the beginning of a tobacco-free life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate that. Okay, now moving on to, did I lose you? What happened? Are we still there?
We're here.
Oh, okay, because
We're here.
my screen went black. All right. So E6C, approved resolution, Native American Heritage Day. I don't think we didn't do that one. But can I get a motion on that one, please?
I move to declare November 27th, 2021 as Native American Heritage Day.
Okay, Mrs. Smith.
I second that.
Mr. Hoageen seconded. It was moved by Mrs. Smith and seconded by Mr. Hoageen to approve resolution number 2021-22-20 and observation of Native American Heritage Day. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hoageen,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, so we have 3 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Mr. Johnson, I'll be happy to present this resolution if you allow me to.
Please do, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And I can see that we have Ms. Ginger Slater on the call. Am I saying that right, Ms. Slater?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I have the honor of presenting this resolution to you. I'm going to say a couple of things about the resolution before I present it, and then I'm going to ask you to accept it, please. So this resolution is the Native American Heritage Day, and it's resolution number 2021-22-20, Native American Heritage Day, November 27, 2021. And tonight, we approve this resolution recognizing November 27, 2021 as Native American Heritage Day. We do this to honor the generations of American Indians who were here before the arrival of European explorers. And we recognize that today, every tribe has celebrated heroes of their own in sports, the arts, film, literature, engineering, medicine, education, and environmental sciences. We believe that it is important for our students to study and know the role and contributions of American Indians to the economic, political, and social development of our state. And the resolution has several lines, and each and every one of those lines is very important. But I like to read just a couple of them because I believe there is a special importance to those two lines. One of them says that the California State Board of Education recognized in its policy statement on multicultural education that each student needs an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in his or her own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. And the other line says that the California Education Code number 512045 specifically calls for instruction in the social sciences to include the study of the role and contributions of American Indians to the economic, political, and social development of California and the nation, with particular emphasis on portraying the role of the American Indians in contemporary society. So this evening, again, we adopt this resolution and we honor November 27 as Native American Heritage Day. The Board of Education encourages all educational communities to commemorate this occasion with appropriate instructional activities. This resolution is signed by members of the Board of Education and the Superintendent, Dr. Martin Raxcaziora. And once again, Ms. Nader, I ask you to please accept this resolution, and I'm presenting it to you on behalf of the Board of Education.
Good evening. It's with pleasure that I accept the Native American Heritage Day, the board resolution, because we work as a team toward a common goal, which is to reduce the educational barriers Native American children face. We all know that education is an important cornerstone for self-sufficiency and quality of life. As first inhabitants of our land, American Indians set a model for inclusiveness in light of diversity. I am a proud Menominee Indian with resources available to me that others lack. This summer, my adult children went to the reservation my father grew up on in Wisconsin. My siblings, their children, and my family, we all had a family reunion on the reservation with family members that currently live in Wisconsin. Among other things, the lack of internet access and technical support was a reality shock to not only my children, but to myself. According to the Condition of Education 2020, 34% of American Indian households do not have high-speed internet access at home, and 16% do not have a computer. 1/10 has home internet access only through a smartphone, and 1/4 report their main barrier to home internet access is that it was too expensive. The COVID-19 pandemic forced all schools to accelerate learning from school sites to technology integration. This amplified the stress of the Native American household that school-age children must have access to an internet accessible device and broadband. Understandably, A family who's struggling to survive with basic food and shelter does not have the resources nor the ability to work on educational needs. Another critical issue is to create a curriculum that amplifies Native American voices that should extend beyond imparting historical facts. Perhaps students should analyze a treaty between the US and a Native American nation. Before the US government ended its recognition of the American Indian nation's sovereignty, the US and independent Native American tribes, they negotiated hundreds of these treaties, and it would be really interesting what students would think of if they had a chance to look at some of those. Creative lesson plans can also encourage students to learn about the Three Sisters agricultural growing method. There's 3 crops, corn, beans, and squash, that can be planted together for mutual benefit. The tall corn plants provide structure for the beans to climb, eliminating the needs for poles, while beans replenish nitrogen in the soil, and squash, the leaves spread out to create a microclimate to retain the soil's moisture. That's also would be a very interesting way to show kids some Indian culture. Children can also learn about poverty and homelessness. Then they could address the fairness and tackle more complex issues of income equality, mental illness, and racial disparities. By raising awareness of social justice issues and providing concrete examples, educators help students become adults who resist unjust discriminatory behavior. This promotes education equality and helps children recognize the world as it exists and perceive what it could become. Your job as a board member is not easy, and I want to thank you for your understanding of the cultural differences and educational challenges the Native American student faces. Failure does not have to be a destiny for Native American students. When we all unify to dismantle barriers, we inspire empowerment and give hope for a promising tomorrow. And that's the way wounds of history are healed. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I think that's it. Claudia, we have it with at E7, right? Staff response. Is that what we are?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do we have any staff response from comments made at previous meetings?
Yes, we do, Mr. Johnson. And I'm going to share those right now. We had a community member that wanted to know about who makes the determination on the policies that we follow. And we received, this community member was responded to on November the 5th via email. And we received guidelines from the Riverside County Department of Public Health, Riverside University Health System, who receives guidance from the California Department of Public Health. And we have a number that we gave them to call if they have questions or concern. And to clarify, if students or staff have COVID-19 related symptoms that are not typical of any other previous conditions, allergies, they must stay home for at least 5 days after the first day of symptoms and get tested in the 6th day. Even if it's a cold or flu, it could spread to other students, which is why it's important for students or staff to stay home. And we provided the specific protocol for their review. Any student who has a fever should be sent home regardless of COVID-19 protocols we have in place at that time. Of fever, even prior to the pandemic, that has not been resolved within the at least 24 hours without the use of fever reducing medication before coming back to school. If students have to quarantine due to illness, exposures, or positive tests, there's an independent study option that is provided to those students per state guidelines. And this is the California Department of Education that was very clear this year on how distance learning or in-person learning and virtual learning should occur. Students who are placed in short-term independent studies will receive their assignments from their teachers. There's a master agreement contract the student and parent sign for short-term independent studies. Regarding vaccines, at this time, there's no mandate for students. I want to repeat that. There is no mandate for students to have the vaccine. However, the state governor, Gavin Newsom, has announced on October the 1st, pending FDA approvals, and this is pending those approvals and other approvals, that they're planning to implement a COVID-19 vaccine requirement. there really isn't any additional information that the state or the California Department of Public Health shared after this initial announcement. Much of it is just what people have heard from other situations, but we haven't received any definite information. We will continue to keep families informed of any updates. We communicate every Tuesday and Friday, and we update as soon as we hear something. The next was from the next community member had 3 different issues, and the first one was in regards to when the board was made aware of Mr. Peden's resignation, and in regards to when Mr. Peden informed the board, informed the district that he had moved from the area. The district received his letter of resignation on October the 7th. The board acknowledged on October the 12th, 2021, the official receipt of the resignation from the Riverside County Office of Education on October the 8th. Regarding board meetings, the Moreno Valley Unified School District meetings are open to the public via online streaming. Members of the public are able to address the board via a written public comment with their own voice. The regular board meetings are not closed to anyone, and they're accessible at this webpage. We understand you'd like the board to hold its meetings in person. However, due to several safety concerns nationwide and Assembly Bill 361, the Moreno Valley Unified School District Board of Education will continue to hold virtual meetings, and the board will continue to evaluate every 30 days. In another matter about the National School Boards Association regarding your concern of students being sexually harassed or assaulted in other counties, the Moreno Valley Unified School District prohibits discrimination, intimidation, harassment, including sexual harassment or bullying, and takes these situations very serious. Affiliations with organizations such as the California School Board Association does not change our procedures in ensuring that all of our students are in a safe learning environment. If there are any students who would like to report these situations, they can report it to the school administration so that it can be immediately addressed. And we appreciate you bringing these items to our attention. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
You're quite welcome. Colleagues, any questions for Dr. Kitsiora concerning his report?
No.
Mrs. Smith? Any questions?
No.
Okay, moving right along. What about the public comments on non-agenda items?
Mr. Johnson, we're on E8.
Yeah, okay. Oh, on agenda items, okay.
If you can read the quick summary, sir.
Yeah. Any person wishing to speak to any item on the agenda may do so at this time when the item is addressed by the Board of Education. Individual speakers shall be allowed to speak for 3 minutes on any agenda item, and the Board of Education shall limit the total time for public input on each agenda item to 21 minutes, according to Board Bylaws 9323B, Section 5. Per Board Bylaw 9323, twice the allotted time will be provided to a member of the public utilizing a translator. Do you have any comments on this one?
Mr. Johnson, we do have a public speaker who is joining us and speaking. It is Mr. Roy Bleckert, and he is submitted for 2 agenda items, and he would like to speak on agenda item I3A and I4. I4A
and I4A.
I4A. Okay. Mr. Bleckert, you have 3 minutes to speak, sir. If I'm understanding correctly, you choose the 3 minutes to speak on both items. Is that correct, sir?
You got me?
Yes. Are you speaking on
Hello.
3 minutes? Sir, are you speaking 3 minutes on each individual item or 3 minutes altogether?
Are we hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can't hear us?
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
I'm still not hearing anybody on this end.
We can hear you, sir. Is your mic? Do you have a mic?
We can hear you.
On the agenda items on 1.3, And first, well, let me start this. I want to thank all our veterans. Not only should we honor them on 11/11 every year, we should thank them each and every day for their service, because that's a sacrifice most of us will not know how to do. On agenda item 1.3, circumstances change. LaDonna Jempson was on the, popped up there. LaDonna Jempson was not on the city council prior to maybe you putting it on there, but I think, it just would be maybe a concern if she was on the city council and on the oversight board. So I would recommend at this time, just on that appointment, just for safety concerns of what's going on, I would recommend not appointing LaDonna Jempson to the oversight board. On agenda items 1.4 through 1.6, let me say I'm not against people making money, getting a salary, but what I would do, and this is a lot of things we do in the private sector, and especially in a lot of the companies I have ran, I am big on, well, maybe a smaller base salary, but lots of bonuses on top of that based on performance. For an example, if our school district was raising test scores at a 20% rate per year, that would trigger incentives on executive staff and salary increase bonuses if you met those goals. That is, we have them all the time in all sorts of that. And that's, that is, okay, you are rewarded for performance. And I believe that's what we should get back to a lot in that. And it has been proven since the beginning of time, that is one of the most successful ways to get to the end game of having a better result for all of you. Because if you work hard and you put in the effort and it shows and we can quantify it, by all means, you deserve the compensation. But when we don't see, or they're not on the reports or anything of this, and we still see the situation that we are in Moreno Valley, and our school district in particular, where we're at this particular time, that makes me question a little bit of what's going on. It's nothing personal, but I see it as if we were forward thinking, we would come up with some different ways to put on salary increases.
Thank you, Mr. Blickard.
Do we have anyone else?
For agenda items, no, Mr. CJ.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine. Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to E9, public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have any there?
If you can read the script or the quick summary,
Okay.
Mr. Johnson.
Okay, the Board of Education. The Board of Education encourages public comments during this section. Staff may briefly respond to statement of questions or make questions or may ask questions for clarification. The board may refer to staff or other resources for factual information, direct staff to report back at a subsequent meeting, and or direct staff to place the topic on a future agenda. Now, if someone wants to lodge a complaint against an employee, the appropriate form may be obtained at any school or the community education center. Now, individual speakers shall be allowed to speak for a total of 3 minutes on non-agenda items, regardless of the number of issues to be addressed by the individual. The Board of Education shall limit the total time for public input on non-agenda items to 21 minutes. That's per Board Bylaws 9323. Now, twice the allotted time will be provided to a member of the public utilizing a translator. Now, with the Board of Education consent, president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentations depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. And the president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. That's according to Board Bylaws 9323BC Section 5. Did you say we had some?
Yes, Mr. Johnson, we have a total of 8
Okay.
public comments, and I have my colleague Erica Cuevas who would help me read.
You said you have 8.
I have 8. 3 that are calling in and 4 that will be reading.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so our first speaker is Ms. Luis Palomares. Ms. Luis Palomares, can you hear us? Ms. Palomares? Okay, we might have to come back. We might have to come back to her. I don't see a speaker on her account, or a microphone on her account. Do we have Paul Guardado? Paul Roman. Mr. Paul Guardado, are you on the line? If you can unmute yourself, sir.
There you go. Can you hear me?
There you go. Thank you. Yes. Mr. Paul, you have 3 minutes to speak. Do you see the timer?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. You can begin now.
All right. So good evening, board. Good evening, superintendent. I just wanted to compliment you guys on the amazing job you guys have done on distributing the Measure M funds. The facilities and services Yes, can you hear me? Oh, man.
We can hear you, sir. If you have the live stream on, it will have a sound.
I do have a live stream.
Turn that off. Yeah, you need to turn that off.
Oh my gosh.
Or turn it down.
All right. All right, my apologies.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So anyway, just wanted to compliment everybody on a great job you've done. My wife and I took Dr. Sheffield's parent project, and I mean, that was awesome. But what brings me here is, what good is that if a child is afraid to go to school? Safety is an unspoken expectation of education. 2 years have passed since I watched the superintendent being escorted by sheriff's deputies at a vigil for a young man that was killed at a Moreno Valley school on the evening news. What does the district look like 2 years later? We have weekly fights, some serious, continuous smoking of nicotine and marijuana products in the restrooms, and loaded firearms being found on campus. I've seen video of some of these fights. Of these videos I've seen, some of the most egregious were a fight between a young man and a young lady. I watched a fight between 2 girls. It was broken up by security and the 2 girls walked away. Neither was detained and nor any information taken. A fight in a restroom filled with students where 2 young ladies were pulled apart by sheriff's deputies and security were needed to break it up. 2 boys punching each other in the back of the head in front of Canyon Springs High School, which could result in serious injury or death. Where did I see this? I saw it on an Instagram page dedicated to fights at Canyon Springs High School, with well over 20 fights documented in the first 2 months of this school year. Yet my daughter sees these students on campus the next day. The young man who lost his life's family were told his attackers were suspended, but instead they were at school the next day to attack him, and he tragically lost his life. On 10/28, there was a riot on Canyon Springs campus. We were notified by our daughter that the school was on lockdown. She was fearful for her life. The teacher left the classroom with an unlocked door while rumors of shooting and stabbing were being spread among students. We weren't notified of the incident by the district until over an hour from our daughter's initial text. We were lucky we worked close to home and we were able to come by the school. What if we worked far or my daughter didn't have her phone that day? During that evening, we received a call from the district. We thought it was the superintendent addressing the events.
No, not that one. It's right here. Put your hand on it.
Instead, all we heard about was an amazing job the district has done. You must address the ugly with the good. Transparency is a right that all parents and taxpayers should expect from their school district. I understand that much of these behaviors start at home and the district can't be everywhere. But there must be consequences and they must be swift and serious. We no longer felt safe when we're forced to pay $878 a month tuition to Notre Dame High School in Riverside so my daughter can have a safe learning environment. I demand that the board and the superintendent implement change in disciplinary policies regarding these matters, review the district's lockdown procedures, and provide the transparency that parents and students deserve before another death or serious injury occurs, which this district is far too familiar with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Guardado. Now we got Mrs. Luis Palomares. Ms. Palomares, do you hear us?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Ms. Palomares, you have 3 minutes, ma'am. Do you see the timer on the screen?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Okay, I'll go ahead and get it started. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I was going to address one issue, but I heard the parent right now. And this is going all across the district here about the bullying issues. Sir, if you're still on the line and you're looking at the meeting, my name is Luis Palomares. Call me up. My number is 951-5712. I'll see what I can do about helping you with the bullying issues because it's going across the whole district and nothing, the policy needs to be changed. It really, really does. The board, I don't know what you do there because it doesn't look like you do too much of anything about the bullying issues in our community here. It's got to change. It's got to change. Now we got one board member that's out, Pete, okay. We got one board member that's coming, a new board member. Something's got to change with the bullying. I'm going to take that issue on and I'm going to be back at the district talking about the bullying. That's the main issue. Why should our kids be afraid to go to school? The school district is responsible for them from the time they leave their front door to the time they get back to the front door after school. But that doesn't seem to be the issue here. There's no safety for our kids in our schools with all the bullying issues. I heard this parent talk, my heart goes out to him. Now there was a student way back when, it's been over a year, maybe a year and a half, Diego. There was several attempts to try to get them resolved at the school level, but nothing ever happened. They swept it under the carpet. Now we got a big old lawsuit going on. I think they settled with that one. But why do we have to go that route? There has to be more done about the bullying issue. And they'll say, oh, we can't tell you what we did. The kids were at school the next day, this parent said, oh, we can't tell, it's a private, come on. And something has to change in this policy here. You're the policy makers there, the school board, do something about it. Do we have to have another student that's going to be, his life ends because nobody knows what time it is or nobody gives a rip to do something. Now, our students that were at the Valley View High School and our football players, they went over to the Temecula School District to have a game. They were bullied. They were degraded, called every name in the book, our young ladies. I'm livid about that. And I want to take that issue on and I want to go over there to take it on. I want to go over there and address their board and their city council because they don't seem to think there's no racism going on, but it's alive and well. It's been here since the day of Jesus. Now you tell me it just went away since the 60s? Hell no. I was walking in the 60s, marching back when. But saying all that, another thing, LaDonna. LaDonna doesn't need to be on any of the committees. She's facing Cabrera and Marcus. They're all in bed with her and they violated the Brown Act. Why should she be on any committees? She's a fake council member. She violated the Brown Act and took that seat. You should take her off the Measure M. I'm livid. I'll be at the next school board meeting. And what you need to do is, we need to go to the school board meeting. You have thousands of kids going to school every day. Board meeting. Come on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palomares. Our next speaker is Mr. Roy Bleckard. Mr. Bleckard, I reset the timer. You have 3 minutes, sir. Begin.
Yes. I deal with this broadcasting technology 5 days a week. And this is a perfect example of what's been going on of that and why you should immediately rescind that 30-day notice of doing the virtual meetings and open the meetings up now. There is absolutely no evidence that we are in that much danger of anything, that our meetings in Moreno Valley Unified School District, one of the only districts in the state of California, probably countrywide, that is still doing virtual meetings. Stop, please. Let's get back to some sanity. I heard the first two speakers and I couldn't agree with them more. From Fairfax County, Loudoun County, Virginia to Moreno Valley, California. We have violence in our schools. We are not addressing it in the manner that it should. We are not stopping it. And we see those, I want to see the denials of the fight videos that are being posted online, which the first parent put up. Let's stop sugarcoating everything. Nothing is perfect in this world, but all I hear from the meetings and the addressment from the day is everything is perfect and hunky-dory and there isn't one thing going wrong. That's impossible. None of you are named Jesus Christ. Let's work at getting these things fixed. Let's take the violence out of our schools. Let's put a safe environment, because we had the Delago incident. We don't want a Loudoun County incident where daughters are getting raped in the bathrooms because of the policies of the schools. The same type of bathroom policies that I'm aware of are going out through the state of California. This is as serious, more serious than a heart attack. And it goes to show you what happens in this community. It's happened before probably any of you have been here. I've been here for part of 7 decades. Moreno Valley School District has started that. They were our first public entity, and it's still run the same way. And that needs to stop, and stop immediately. You can set the example. The school district is the main determinant of the success or failure of this community. We need to start upping our standards all across the board so we have the high quality of life every citizen and every kid deserves in this community.
Thank you, Mr. Bluckard. Our next speaker is Elena Santa Cruz. Ms. Santa Cruz, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Ma'am, we got 3 minutes. I've reset the timer. Ready, begin.
My name is Elena Santa Cruz, and I live in District 5. We're unrepresented right now. So I'm bringing my concerns to you, the board. I understand that you're considering placing LaDonna Jemson on a board or commission, anything that would be related to our children or finances or our tax dollars. And I urge you to not do that. Not only does she not understand Robert Rules of Order, she has colluded with 2 criminals on the city council to steal a seat. She has no tact. She has no regard for the law. And I urge you to not allow her on any of our committees. I have raised my children through this district. I know most of you. I have a grandchild who'll be entering the district soon. And we're willing to volunteer, do whatever it is that we need to help the school district out so that we can improve it, but do not appoint or allow LaDonna near any public funds. She has embezzled before. She has stolen from her employers, and we just can't trust her. Secondly, I don't know why we're on Zoom. Like previous speakers spoke, we are probably the only district on Zoom. In fact, Riverside Community College District has just last meeting removed all social distancing in compliance with OSHA, because if we have kids in classrooms and we have faculty in the classrooms and we have staff on site, why should we have greater protections for our board than we have for our students? Parents deserve the right to come and look at your faces and speak. And you should be sitting on that dais. And what was the last thing? Measure M.
She's on Measure M committee.
Okay, and
I believe she's on Measure M.
and that'll be it. Thank you very much. No.
Thank you, Ms. Santa Cruz. Our next speaker is Vincent Melendres, and this one we're going to be reading, Mr. Johnson. I have my colleague Erica.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I want to speak against the COVID vaccine mandate issued by the governor. It is not advisable to inject our children with an experimental vaccine that, according to a lawsuit against the U.S. Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services by America's Frontline Doctors, states that the side effects of the vaccine are listed as increased risk of death, vascular disease, autoimmune disease, neurological damage, including brain bleeding and dementia, harmful effects on the young, chronic disease, and blood supply tainted with toxic spike proteins. Per the CDC, the observed reports of myocarditis after the mRNA vaccination was significantly greater than the expected cases. For example, boys ages 12 to 15 expected cases 1 to 5, but observed cases 117. Boys ages 16 to 17 expected cases 0 to 3, but observed cases 121. Boys ages 18 to 24 expected cases 1 to 11, but observed cases 2 to 13. This is not an acceptable side effect of a vaccine. For Dr. Peter McCullough, one of the most highly cited doctors in the National Library of Medicine, who has chaired numerous drug data safety boards, said, a typical new drug at about 5 deaths, unexplained deaths, we get a black box warning saying it may cause death. And then at about 50 deaths, it's pulled off the market. Purveyors data, they have been 18,878 deaths as of 10/29/21 due to the vaccine. So why is the vaccine still on the market? Why is the CDC and FDA wanting children to get vaccinated? I understand that if the mandate is followed, that there is an option for the Moreno Valley Online Academy as an option for those kids that do not receive the vaccine. But returning to online schooling after the detrimental 1.5 years of distance learning while schools were shut down will be harmful to my children's emotional well-being and educational success. I am sure it will be detrimental and harmful to most, if not all, the children forced to go back to online schooling. There are alternative reasonable accommodations to the vaccine, for instance, wearing a mask, which is already done, weekly testing, and hygiene. These are all proven methods of lowering the risk of infection without the risk of the adverse effects of the vaccine. Dr. Vladimir Selenko, MD, said on 8/14/21, there's a mass psychosis. It's akin to what happened in German society before and during World War II, where normal descent people were turned into AIDS and just following orders type of mentality that led to genocide. I see now that the same paradigm happening. I know the school board is a public school and you say that you have to follow orders, but indeed you do not. There are many districts across California voting against this. Happy Valley, Chino Valley, Ripon, Capistrano, Western Placer, Oak Run, Apple Valley, Lucerne Valley, Durham, Merced, Union High, Columbia District, El Dorado, Union High School District, East Whittier. So it can be done. You do not have to comply with this tyranny. Will you stand against tyranny, or will you be as the leaders of Germany during World War II and enforce the iron will of tyranny on our children? I sincerely hope that you will stand for freedom.
Thank you. Our next speaker being read, public comment, is Berenice Murillo Quintana.
Erica. Erica.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I am writing to urge the school board to vote against the COVID vaccine mandate that the governor wants to impose on our children in order to attend school. This is government overreach, and the government does not have a say in the health of our children. This is a personal choice between parents and their children. Children have a very small risk of severe side effects from COVID and a very huge risk of side effects from the vaccine itself. Do not impose a new vaccine in order for our children to have an education. This vaccine is new and there is no long-term studies done on them. I will not subject my children to be experimented on. Imposing a vaccine mandate goes directly against the Nuremberg Code, which states that voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. This means that the person should have legal capacity to give consent, should be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, or overreaching. It also states that it should be conducted as to avoid all unnecessary physical and mental suffering and injury. The code also states that there should not be reason to believe that death or disabling injury will occur. I also want to say that I am not anti-vaccines. Both my children and myself have out of our vaccines. But with other vaccines, a small amount of a particular virus is introduced to the body through the upper arm. That provokes an immune response of the development of antibodies that provide immunity against the virus. The vaccine stays in the arm and cannot travel throughout the body. However, the current COVID-19 vaccines are based on nanoparticles of messenger RNA. These mRNA vaccines carry a genetic code that tricks human cells into manufacturing the virus. Based on medical scientific data as provided by the CDC, the mandate is not warranted for children since the US national percentage rate of death in children ages 0 to 19 from COVID as of 10/9/2021 is 0.0003%. Also, based on recent scientific studies pursuant to the CDC and the vaccine manufacturer's warning label, as well as real-time occurrences reported by reputable news networks, the available vaccines of Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna have proven to cause serious side effects, including but not limited to myocarditis, blood clots, and death, especially in adolescents. Furthermore, the vaccine has not been proven to prevent the infection or transmission of COVID, as many vaccinated people have since contracted and transmitted COVID per a recent study conducted by Harvard School of Public Health published on 9/30/2021. Conducted across 68 countries and 2,947 counties in America that showed a correlation between highly vaccinated populations and increased number of COVID cases, suggesting not only that the vaccine is not effective enough to stop transmission, but that it may be contributing to the increased transmission of the virus. Because of this and many more reasons, there is no justifiable or legal reason to risk the health and lives of our children by injecting them with the currently experimental vaccine from a virus that has a minimum risk to them.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Noe Rodriguez for public comment to be read.
First, I want to thank everyone attending, board member, and it is vital to the success of the program that we be led by individuals who are invested in the programs. I am not sure I understand why the school board is not willing to hold in-person meetings if kids are attending schools. I believe that everyone should be striving to get back to normalcy. The reason why I'm wanting to attend in a live setting is because school board members are not able to see the concern on parents' faces over a live stream video. On October 28th, there were several fights at the Canyon Springs High School. I was able to learn that the MVPD was called in to assist in retaking control of the school grounds. Several videos were produced, and while I am not one who believes these fights were racially motivated, there are many parents who are afraid that this is a root cause of these fights. I was able to view video, and I am sure that if I was able to watch these videos, then the school administrators must have also been able to view these videos to determine who was involved. I also heard that some of the kids directly involved in the fights were taken from school campus that afternoon in police custody. I was additionally informed that most, if not all, the kids involved in the fights were allowed back at school the very next day. This is why I am writing to find out if the schools are allowing this nonsense to fester on school grounds. If those comments are true, then how can anyone feel like their child is safe while on campus? How can anyone be allowed back on campus if they have been identified as involved in these fights? Going back to my days in school, anyone involved in any fights was held accountable and suspended for a minimum of 3 to 5 days, depending on the circumstances. I believe that period was considered a cooling off period so that students would be allowed time to reflect on their poor attitudes and need to refrain from disruptive arguments that could eventually lead to other fights or confrontations. Some parents tried to help me understand that the PBIS, positive behavior interventions and support system, does not allow room for disciplinary actions at the school levels, as was generally customary in the past years. If this is true, then that system is flawed and is in desperate need of replacement. I am asking the MVUSD board members make effectively available to all parents who have children enrolled and attending on any of these schools a copy of the current rules and procedures of disciplinary action for how our children are being protected from the disruptive children that are currently attending MVUSD campuses. This is an imperative issue. I can assure you that you are about to lose many good students if this matter is not addressed in the very near future. Good day and thank you, Noé Rodriguez.
Our next speaker is Wendy Ledesma. Her comment to be read.
After speaking out about some of my concerns with Dr. Kitsura yesterday, thank you for speaking with me about the vaccine mandate that may be put into effect here in the very near future. I have still much concern. I realize that the board has much to talk over, but our students and parents should be your first priority, not the government. Yes, there are exemptions that can be filled out, but these I have looked into and are a long process. As a school district that I would assume knows our constitutional rights, you would agree this mandate is unconstitutional. Now, I must let you know I am pro-choice when it comes to taking the vaccine, but we do not bow down to the government. It's not the government's job to enforce this upon our children. I would hope, since you care about our children, that you would agree. In closing, I will let you know that there are several parents along with me that are and will continue to protest against this mandate. We need our voices heard. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, that was the last of the public comments, sir. Thank you. You're muted, Mr. Johnson.
Mute. Thank you very much. And I'd like to also thank all of those speakers who came up today and provided us with their concerns. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Item F, I think a public hearing. Is that where we are? Disclosure of tentative agreement between Moreno Valley Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and its Moreno Valley Chapter 410. Now, this public disclosure of the provisions of a collective bargaining agreement is made in accordance with AB 1200, status of 1991, Chapter 1213, Government Code 3547.5, and requires employers to publicly disclose provisions of collective bargaining agreements before each agreement are adopted. So Dr. Verdi, well, let me back up before I do that. I need to call for a motion to open the public hearing. I have it highlighted and didn't even say it. On CSEA collective bargaining agreement for public comments. Can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Johnson, I'd like to hear from Dr. Verdi first.
Okay.
Sure, no problem, Mr. Johnson. So as you introduce this item, as you said, it is part of statute, the AB 1200 requirements that Susana Lopez and her team fill out when there's a negotiated settlement between the district and one of our labor groups. This is with CSEA, Chapter 410, as you mentioned. And this evening, we are bringing forward for final board approval the negotiated tentative agreement and ratified agreement with the district and Chapter 410 CSEA. So at this time, when you open up the public hearing, Mr. Johnson, it gives anyone an opportunity to speak to this item publicly if they so choose.
Okay, thanks for the information. Any other questions before I open it? Okay, can I get a motion, please, to open the public hearing?
Yeah, I move that we open the public hearing on the disclosure and adoption of the tentative agreements between the Moreno Valley Unified School District and the California School Employees Association and its Moreno Valley Chapter 10.
I will second that motion.
Good. And it's Mrs. Smith. Okay, it was moved by Mr. Hogan and seconded by Mrs. Smith to open the public hearing on the disclosure and adoption of the tentative agreement between the Moreno Valley Unified School District, MVUSD, and the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and its Moreno Valley Chapter 410. Can I get a roll call, please, for the vote?
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Hogan?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. So we have 3 ayes, no nays, no abstentions. Motion carried. So at this time, we will then move on to
We don't have any,
there
we don't have
any-
any public, we don't have any
speak-
public comments for the
no
public
speakers?
hearing, Mr. Johnson, no.
Okay, so if we don't have any.
So there's
any
no
public-
speakers at all?
We don't have any speakers. I like to move that we close the public hearing.
I will second that.
Okay. I have Mr. Hogan, motion to close, and Mrs. Smith. Seconded.
Yeah.
Okay, the motion was made by Mr. Hogan. Okay, a motion was made by Mr. Hogan and seconded by Mrs. Smith to close the public hearing. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hogan,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Aye. Motion carried, 3 ayes, no nays. Moving on to Dr. Verdi, adoption of the tentative agreement between Moreno Valley Unified School District, MVUSD, and the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and its Moreno Valley Chapter 410. So on September the 29th.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to introduce it, but go ahead.
Okay, you can go ahead. You can go ahead and do it. You can do it. So Dr. Verdi, just go right ahead.
Thanks, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So as you were about to say, this is the recently negotiated tentative agreement between our CSEA Chapter 410 and the Moreno Valley Unified School District. Our negotiations for salary concluded on September the 29th. So the tenets of this particular agreement that we're bringing forward this evening for board approval impact salaries effective July 1, 2021. Members of the Classified Association will realize a 4% ongoing increase to their salary schedules based on their current placement on those salary schedules. Effective November 1, unit members who have completed 9 or more years of continuous district service in paid status shall receive an additional monthly salary stipend as part of their longevity. We've increased the longevity that's currently in our collective bargaining agreement with Chapter 410. Just again, to let the board know, as our superintendent knows, Ms. Lopez did have to prepare a report for the county to make sure this is feasible and can be maintained in terms of the budgetary impact to our school district. And having received word that it is indeed feasible, we are bringing it before the board tonight for final approval. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Dr. Verdi, concerns? If not, then I would entertain a motion, please.
Okay, I move that we adopt the tentative agreement between the Moreno Valley Unified School District and the California School Employees Association and its Moreno Valley Chapter 410 as presented.
I will second that motion.
Mrs. Smith. Okay, it was moved by Mr. Hogan and seconded by Mrs. Smith to adopt the tentative agreement between the Moreno Valley Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and the Moreno Valley Chapter 410 as presented. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hogan,
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, motion carried. Motion on the tentative agreement between Moreno Valley Unified School District and Chapter 4, Chapter 410 has been approved. Okay, attachment disclosure. Disclosure collective bargaining agreement, CSEA tentative agreement between the district, CSEA, 27 salaries, consent agenda. So we'll go there. All matters in this category are considered to be consistent with the board district goals. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If discussion is required, items may be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Mr.
So
Johnson,
at this time, I'd like to
Mr.
Go ahead,
Johnson,
Mr.
I'd like to
Hogan.
move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of item G4A, which we already approved earlier in the meeting.
Okay, Mr. Hogan. And
I'll second that motion.
can I get a second? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Smith. So it was moved by Mr. Hogan and seconded by Mrs. Smith to approve the following consent agenda. G1A, G2A through G through D, G3A, G3K. However, we're pulling G4A, and we will proceed on to G4C. So can I get a vote, please?
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
With that
Mr.
one.
Hogan,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, so we have 3 ayes. That motion carried with that one item pulled for a separate vote. So at this time, I would like to entertain a motion for that item G4, I think it's, yeah, G4A.
Yeah, you already approved that, Mr. Johnson, in closed session. And you did it report out.
Oh, that's right, we did that in closed, yeah. If you have any input, consider on you for a separate vote, okay. So let's move on to item G.
We're on the
H,
H,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Johnson.
Discussion info. H, yes, H, I'm sorry, I say G, but I'm looking at H. Discussion information items, superintendent. Dr. Ketzior.
Thank you. You can go to the next slide, please. You go to the next slide. I've already covered that. So these are reminders from the state of California. Is it okay if I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay. So some of these are reminders, and I realize that a lot of this information can be confusing because it changes or people get different information. So this is meant to help people clarify information. But on October the 1st, 2021, Governor Newsom made an announcement that regarding regarding vaccines for students and staff. And I just, I want to clarify that when that happened, he directed the California Department of Public Health to add the COVID-19 vaccine to other vaccinations required for in-person school attendance. The state is waiting for FDA approval of the vaccine to implement mandatory vaccines, but that does not mean that they're implementing them. It means that they're waiting for FDA approval. And so nothing has happened yet. And pending approvals, the requirements would be for both students and staff. And so people have asked about this because in the original announcement, it said the state may require it as early as January 1st or July 1st for any student attending in-person instruction. But we have no definition. We have no timeline of when this is going to happen at this point or how it's going to happen. So it's simply an announcement that has created some confusion and concern, but there's nothing being implemented. Are there any questions from the board about that I just shared?
No, but I thank you for the clarification for not just for the board, but for the community. I think that was needed. Thank you.
Mrs. Smith or Mr. Johnson?
No, very good. I appreciate that.
No, yes, I'm fine with it.
Okay. So on the next slide, these are vaccine eligibility expands. On November the 1st, this is just eligibility, not mandatory, not required, just eligibility. On November the 1st, 2021, the FDA announced approval for the emergency use of the Pfizer vaccine for youth ages 5 through 11. This is not the approval that Governor Newsom had previously mentioned regarding a vaccine mandate for students, and the recent approval was only for emergency use authorization. So again, this is to clarify information that is misinformation or incorrect information, and that there is nothing in place and nothing that's planned at this moment. And it's simply the announcement of these things. And so this is for students. So the next section is COVID-19 updates. Some of these are new and some are reminders, but this is to remind everyone about our COVID-19 dashboard. The current dashboard reflects cases from September 1st to November the 8th. There have been 220 total on-site cases for students and staff, and potential exposure since they were on campus 48 hours, 2 days prior to experiencing symptoms or testing positive. It's difficult to avoid exposures when you don't know that you're going to have symptoms within the 48 hours. And I do want to say, not to defend the board's decision, but to explain about meeting on Zoom, is that we have a serious issue within the Moreno Valley Unified School District. Every day, we have employees that are quarantined or isolated, and we have people who get sick and get exposed, and students also. While they are in school, there are also students who are out of school, and there are adults who are not at school because of situations. And so while people are back in person, one of the things we tried to do is minimize the number of exposures to people or people who haven't been vaccinated or different things, because I know there's different arguments for this and I won't win, but there's people who have been vaccinated that have been, exposed and vice versa. But again, it's meant to protect people and try to help with this situation. COVID-19 support, if you go to the next slide. One of the things our district has done is we have contact tracers who've been assisting many schools with COVID-19 situations. At first, it was the principals and it was the health tech, and it was the nurses, and it was people at school sites, and then there were people who weren't at school, and so the offices were inundated with contact tracing. So currently we have remote contact tracers that assist schools from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we're now training 4 in-person contact tracers to help our schools. And all schools now have an assigned contact tracer, which is helping schools, respond to other issues on campuses. As I talked to you earlier tonight in the superintendent's update, one of the things that we thought of, and Anna E. Velasco, who's the director of communications and community engagement, we worked with the college and career office under John Black, and we brought back students who are alumni to participate in civic engagement. And the civic engagement is to help during a pandemic, much like the Red Cross does. But they're interested in supporting their community. They're interested in being part of the solution. And Asterisk alumni are assisting schools as COVID-19 ambassadors. They help with the following: communication with parents and students. They do intake forms. They sometimes support isolation rooms. They do filing and sorting and organizing in other areas as assigned. 6 interns have supported 16 schools already. We have 4 new interns that started this week, and we have 37 former alumni who've applied to be an intern and are working on getting started with us. 15 have already attended an orientation or in the process of starting with the next week, and 22 have been invited to attend orientation within the coming week. So I want you to know that our young people are very responsive and want to help in our community and have been part of the solution, because there is a lot of new just things that have to be done in schools in order to keep students safe. We wanted students to come back, but we didn't realize all of the necessary precautions and information that would have to be, provided and received. And so we're working to make sure that we have a smoother process. Are there any questions about that from the board on what I've just covered? Okay, I'll just keep going. This is vaccine and testing requirements, and we review these just to remind people, because the California Department of Public Health issued a state public health order requiring all school employees to either show proof of full vaccination or test for COVID-19 at least once per week. And so on the next slide, you'll see the vaccines by the numbers. And as of November 4th, the following are the current numbers regarding those who have submitted proof of full vaccination. So this is 3,699 staff members that have provided proof of full vaccination. This includes certificated, classified, coaches, substitutes, interns, and I don't know if I left anybody out, but, and then there are a group of people that have not been vaccinated that have to test weekly. And that number is one that is changing because of people getting vaccinated or different situations. But this is the number of staff that are vaccinated. Now, the district has continued to provide opportunities for people who choose to get vaccinated. Beginning on March 2021, when we partnered with Riverside University Health System to increase access in obtaining vaccinations, up until November 13th, this Saturday, where we have from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. here at the district office, another vaccination clinic. Again, these are provided to the community as a convenience and a comfortable way to do this, but in no way is it required or does anybody have to do it. It's just provided. The testing resources for symptoms and exposures at the Welcome and Registration Center in our district on Dresia Avenue, Monday through Friday, there's testing from 8:30 to 5 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is for any staff member who is experiencing COVID-like symptoms or student and is identified as a close contact and is required or recommended to test based on the latest guidelines. So pre-registration on the next slide, it shows you is important. Rapid results are now available for specific situations only. The contact tracer that works with our schools provides you with this information. Pre-registration is important, only complete it once, one registration form per person. Ensure a correct email address is provided, and incorrect email addresses will delay results. And so again, pre-registration is required for both students and staff. They only have to do the registration once. For students, parents must complete on behalf of each student. Parents must complete it on behalf of each student. A copy of the quick results will be given at the testing site, and the PCR test results will be emailed. All test results are reported to schools. And this is something that the district has provided through a contract to provide this support to students and staff within our school district. So that concludes that part about COVID-19 updates and COVID responses. Are there any questions about that part of the presentation?
Could I just ask one question?
Sure.
About approximately how many staff members do we have in our district? How many employees do we have?
Well, Mrs. Smith, that's why I only put the number that were vaccinated, because we have a large number of substitutes and we have a large number of coaches, and the number is that's the number who are vaccinated. So I'm going to get you some more definite information about what you're asking, because that number varies depending upon if you're just looking at the number of people who are contracted and employed here. That's about 3,500 people. But if you look at people that substitute or walk on coaches or they're interns or they're tutors or they're, the list goes on, that number increases, but they're not actually employees of the district. They contract services sometimes. So that's why I wanted to give you just the number of the employees that I know are vaccinated.
I was just trying to get an idea because it seems like from this number that most of our employees are vaccinated.
It does.
That the majority are. It does sound that way.
It does sound that way. But I don't want to give inaccurate information, or it's, something that, I just don't feel confident giving you a number right now. I do know, but these are the numbers of people that have been vaccinated, Mrs. Smith. And I don't have the other. Dr. Verdi, do you have another number that you would give Mrs. Smith?
I can get that for her. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to provide it this evening?
Oh, sure. If you'd like me to, just give me a minute. I can get that.
Okay.
All right, fine, thank you.
We didn't include it, Mrs. Smith, because we didn't think, we weren't confident in the numbers that we received. So I only wanted to provide what I was confident in this evening. I did not want to, I did not want to give, I had some other information, but I'm not confident that it is, you know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can move on.
Okay. And we will get it for you, but I spent some time this afternoon with Ani Velasco looking at the numbers, and they weren't, I mean, this was the number who are vaccinated. So this next part of this presentation is the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. And this is part of additional funds that we're receiving. You know, the district last month, we went through ESSER funding. Do you remember that? The ESSER 3 plan. And you received that, like tonight, what's going to happen is you're going to receive this information, and then it'll be provided in communication to you. I think it already has been. And then you'll receive it again. And then at the December 14th board meeting, we'll recommend approval of this. So I just want you to know tonight is not approval of this. It's just a review of it in public. This is required by law in order to receive these funds. And so that's why we're doing this at this meeting like this. So this is the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. And in bullet 3 there, it says the school district shall expend funds apportioned to provide professional development, professional learning for teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals who work with pupils, and classified staff that interact with pupils in 10 general areas of focus. So the governor or the state superintendent, they allocated $1.5 billion for this for the state of California. Moreno Valley Unified School District's apportionment is about $8 million over 5 years. And this is from up until 2025-26. And it can only be spent on these 10 areas. And there is an audit, and there is you know, financial responsibility and accountability with this block grant. So in the history of it, there's been different versions of it, and it could be expended on any of the following. There's 4 areas that it could be expended on. And I just want you to know that it's grown from 4 areas to 10 areas. And so that's the big change in this. And so in the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant, the 10 areas for a focus for professional learning. Number 1 is coaching and mentoring of staff. Number 2 is standards aligned instruction. These support the local control accountability plan, strategies that re-engage pupils and lead to accelerated learning. 4 is social emotional learning and trauma-informed practices. 5 is positive school climate, including restorative justice practices and training around implicit bias. Number 6 is strategies to improve inclusive practices for individuals with exceptional needs. 7 is language acquisition programs for English learners. 8 is professional learning networks. 9 is ethnic studies curricula. And 10 is early childhood education. So those are the 10 areas. And this, when this plan is shared with you, this has been budgeted in these areas. That's how the money's been allocated. So when you look at the next slide, you can see that through staff surveys that were given to staff in October of 2021, staff reported, you can see the areas, and you can see re-engaging strategies, re-engaging students. That's green, that's number 3 there. Was one of the highest, how to re-engage students. One of the things that people have brought up tonight, and I'm not going to disagree, is there is too much fighting on campus. There's too many students coming to school that are doing things that they should not be doing. We need parent support. We need the community to work with us. And you know, we know there is an issue. We're not denying it. When the students came back, many of them had been home for 18 months, and they just they have a variety of there's a variety of issues, and so re-engaging them is a big one that our educators saw, and how to reacquaint them with our schools and our rules, and helping them follow those rules. Coaching and mentoring is the first column there. You can see how they rate. Instruction is one. Social emotional learning, positive school climate. You can see that ethnic studies and professional learning network was lower. Language acquisition, inclusive practices, but you can see how they, when they did the survey, how they responded to it. So on this next, on this first slide, this is broken up into the 10 areas. And so coaching and mentoring and staff is the first area. And these are planned activities. Remember, this is a plan, and there'll be feedback and accountability throughout the 5 years. And so we have to provide induction programs for certificated staff. We know that when we hire new teachers, they are required by the state of California to have a 2-year induction program, and the district has to pay for that. So that's a allowable expense under this. We also know that in our equity plan for our district, we need diversity and inclusion consultants and speakers to help with establishing and sustaining a climate of diversity and inclusion within our district, and supporting others and supporting awareness of others. So on the next slide this is number 2. It's standards aligned instruction. And you know, there's new textbooks and new areas of instruction that are added as curriculum alignment and curriculum is adopted. Next generation science standards are being implemented in our schools. This is part of this. There's professional development for all English language arts teachers with an emphasis on writing. Professional development for math teachers in the new California math framework. Conferences to support standard aligned instruction, and online module platforms where people can, on their own, as they want to develop professionally, they don't have to wait for a conference or wait to go to something. These modules will be developed so that people can select those. And as you can see, they're budgeted in different time periods, because you can't do everything at once. And you can't also, you know, that people are always, these areas are changing and needing refinement. So then this was a big area, was strategies that re-engage pupils. So conferences and trainings was something that people asked to attend. Teacher coverage for conferences, this is big. Right now we limit the number of conferences because we have a substitute issue every day. And this is important to remember, that we want our classrooms covered. And then reteach strategy trainings to how to reteach so that students can accelerate. Then the fourth area is social emotional learning. These are trauma-informed practices. There's a lot of issues that students have come back with, and there's domestic violence, there's a host of issues. And so we know that trauma-informed practices are much needed. Social emotional learning practices training. Outside consultants and trainers are needed to assist with that. Strategies to support McKinney-Vento, which is our homeless students, and also homeless and foster youth. That's extremely important. Moreno Valley Unified School District has the highest number of homeless students and the highest number of foster youth in Riverside County. And so we need special support and training to help with that. We're going to look at revisiting unconscious bias training. We had trained everyone, but we now know there are a lot of new people that are being hired and came to our district. And so we want to offer that again and have consultants and speakers to support with that. The positive school climate is really important. Professional development and restorative practices. Professional development and restorative practices introduction. As I said, there are a lot of new people that have come on our campuses. We have a lot of new teachers, a lot of new administrators, and training people in positive school climate is really important. Diversity and inclusion is also important, and PBIS site team trainings. This is a huge area, and preventing discrimination, harassment, bullying, intimidation based on actual or perceived characteristics, including disability, gender, identity, gender expression, language, nationality, race or ethnicity, religion or sexual orientation. There's a lot of areas to address here and a lot of work that needs to be done. Inclusive practices for individuals with exceptional needs. These are strategies to improve inclusive practices, including but not limited to universal design for learning best practices so that all students can be included in classroom learning, for early identification and development of individualized education programs. And so Project READ is one of those things that's being implemented in our schools, in special day classes and resource specialist trainings, facilitated IEP trainings, career technical education teacher training, so that students with special needs and exceptional needs can be included in all phases of education and all programs. Another area is number 7 is language acquisition programs for English learners. We know that this is a huge area that students, when they came back from distance learning, that there's more work that needs to be done in this. So effective instructional practices for dual language immersion teachers, integrated English language development training for content area teachers. There's the California Department of Education has the California English Learner Roadmap, Californians Together. Teachers need training in that. Integrated ELD training for elementary teachers and training for EL supports and online learning. And this is for effective language acquisition programs. And so this is an area that there's great need in, and this is wonderful to have this support. And then professional learning networks. We know that our teachers are in grade level cadre meetings, and they also work in professional learning communities and professional learning networks. And so this is important for teachers not to feel isolated, but to be part of a professional network so that they can develop efficacy and their own independence and their own confidence by working with other teachers and helping them to be strengthen their profession. Whenever you change staff and you know people are different, you have to go back and retrain and revisit this. And then, as you know, this is passed in California about ethnic studies, and so this is pursuant to Section 51226.7 into Pupil Instruction for grades 7 to 12 to incorporate ethnic studies. Moreno Valley already has Chicano studies and African American studies, but we'll be developing and responding to the requirement to have an ethnic studies course by 2025-26. And then early childhood education is another area that is growing and is something that we're building more of in our district. We're adding more of early literacy training for preschool and transitional kindergarten teachers. We've begun implementing full day transitional kindergarten, but we need to continue with that. Early literacy training for our paraprofessionals and consultants as trainers and trainers of trainers to help with early childhood education or childhood development. So our timeline to completion is we shared this with Moreno Valley Education Association on October 21st. We shared it with Classified School Education Association on October 22nd. We gave a survey to all MVUSD school employees. We did an overview with stakeholders at our strategic LCAP meeting on November the 8th, which was yesterday. Tonight, we're sharing it with the community and Board of Education. And then the board will receive continued information on this and communication, and we'll recommend for adoption of this grant at the Board of Education meeting on December 14th. And again, these are requirements. What I'm doing tonight is a requirement of getting this funding is that you share it at one board meeting and then you get it approved at a following board meeting by the board. So as you read through this and as you look through this information, please ask questions as we work towards the next board meeting and look at the information provided. Are there any questions about that right now?
Very thorough, very good.
I'd just like to make a comment, if it's okay, Mr. Johnson. Dr. Katsura, you mentioned, you pointed out about the fights going on in the district and schools. And I appreciate you mentioning that the way you did, because you said you're not gonna deny it. And there were several comments tonight. I just wanted to mention that we get the information about the fights, but it's not only within our district. I know several districts are going through the same kind of environment right now. We've had conversations with colleagues in other school districts, and they have asked, is this happening in your district, and what is happening, and not only here within the Riverside County area, but in other areas of the state. This is not an excuse, by no means. By no means, it's happening. But I at the same time, I do appreciate the effort, your effort, and your team's effort to control that, what is happening. But I think I think you mentioned that, I may be wrong on this, but I think it is the result of the students being isolated for such a long time, and then going back into the schools and the environment again, and with the desire to do many things, and I think yes, there has been some repercussions of that. But I also want to note that it's the reality is that it's not only students. I think we've seen a lot of fights in adults too. Not in the school district. I mean, not in the schools, but in other areas too. There has been adults confrontations and adults things happen, events happening. But again, going back to our school district, I appreciate your effort and the effort of the entire team, whether it is a principal, whether it is the the people that work in the campus, and everybody who is volunteering to be in the classrooms and in the campuses to assist in trying to control that. And I think we're all in the same position. So I just wanted to mention that it's an issue, but you're not letting it go. There's a lot of effort on your part, on your team's part, to work on that. And so I appreciate not only the portion of this plan to address that issue, but to address everything else that needs to be addressed for the next years or so, for continuing improving our system, or the system for our students. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. I do want to mention, Mr. Helgeen, that people, I know they post fights and people see these, and we discourage that, because that, people sometimes do that to get attention to fighting. And, I'm not excusing anything. I'm just saying that there are symptoms to what happens. And I have already contacted the parent who spoke tonight, one of the parents, and I'm having a meeting tomorrow night with him at 6 o'clock. I take this very seriously, and every day, every administrator in the district is assigned to a school to help out, even in the district office. There's not enough, we can do, but there isn't anything we won't do. And we will continue and be vigilant. We are not proud of the fact that that students behave this way, and when they do, we address it. And I know people, talk about the discipline policies in PBIS, and they see the kids back the next day or somebody, but there's always an investigation. It's very thorough, and I know that it's not always the outcome that people want, but we'll continue to work on it. I met with a parent last night at 7:30 with Dr. Dunhams from Vista Delago High School, another issue. But we're here, and we want to work together, and it takes all of us to help. It's not it's not one-sided. It takes all of us to, the other day there was a fight across the street from Vista Delago High School, and people videotaped it and drove by it and did nothing. And they waited for the school people to come across the street. And, you know, we came, that the people came from Vista Delago. But until that time, other people didn't do anything. And they waited for people from the school, and people blew their horn. But I mean, I've got a video of it. And it does not make me happy. It does not make me feel good. I met with that student last night and his family, and I really appreciate them talking to me. But it is something that we have to keep working on, and we will. And I will meet with people, and I will meet with schools, and we'll continue to go to schools and be present. We have limited the number of people that are off campus. We do have a substitute issue every day. It's instability in our schools. And you know, that causes some of the issues, the instability of our adults not being on campus and having different substitutes and different people in classrooms with different understandings of the rules. But that is happening all over America, not just in Moreno Valley. And I'm not excusing myself, but every day I get up and I try to help cover each class with people. And you know, I just want people to know we take this seriously and we take responsibility. You know, we don't, but we need people to help us and work together. You know, not videotape fights and send them to me. Help stop them. You know, there's ways to be on campus and support and volunteer, and you know, there's all kinds of different opportunities. But yeah, it's something that is very stressful and very you know, significant in our communities right now. Thank you, Mr. Holguin.
Yeah, and lastly, my last comment. You also mentioned this is when we need the parent engagement, community engagement. It's not just in the classroom, but also, you know, in helping alleviate these conditions. So I think we have an amazing community, that there's a lot of people that are volunteering in our schools, and that is what it takes to help, you know, reduce these conditions. So hopefully we continue having that, and I appreciate all the community members that come forward and help. So yeah, and you mentioned that too, so I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Dr. Verdi, did you? Oh, sorry, Ms. Smith.
Did we lose you?
No. Ms. Smith, you were gonna. I think she was gonna talk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say something. I want to just say thank you for a very, very comprehensive report. It seemed to cover everything, from fighting to what we're doing about entirely unrelated items. So thank you for putting together such a comprehensive report for us. I think that all of us as board members are concerned about fighting. I don't think there's one single person on the board or in the school district administration or in the school district generally that is not concerned about students fighting. And we need to find ways to go forward. We were making good progress before the pandemic, and then everything came to a halt, and now we need to get back in the groove and move forward with policy of getting rid of fighting in schools, whether it's zero tolerance, more discipline, whatever we need to do, we need to figure it out and let students know that this isn't acceptable behavior, and let their parents know that this isn't acceptable. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, we had a girl involved in a fight, and then she was taken to juvenile hall, and her mother was very upset. She didn't know this was going to happen, that if she got into this fight, she was going to be arrested. You know, students need to expect consequences when they fight and when they attack other people and when they're involved in these incidences. You know, I don't know why people are videotaping things instead of getting involved and being part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And that's what I'd like to say. Just be the solution and do what you can to help. And I think we're all there in wanting this for our students to have a safe environment. And thank you for all that you're doing, Dr. Kitziora.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Kitziora and your entire team, like Mrs. Smith and my colleague Jesus again said too, I want to thank you guys for what you're doing. We read in the papers just about every day, not every day, but just about every day, where there's some disturbances at the schools. So something is going on. But I do want to thank and praise our educators, our teachers, for coming in, because as you know better than I do, that there's a lot of folks that are not at school, and so we have to do the best that we can. But we do want to thank those that come to work every day and do their best to keep everybody quiet and keep everybody as one big team, rather than a group of kids going off in one area and taking their frustration out on one another. But again, thank you for the effort. Thank you for keeping your folks involved in the things that we expect, not only from them, but from their students and our parents as well. And like to also just remind our parents, we need your help. We need your help. And when the kids leave, make sure we give them some good advice, and not that we give them bad advice, but make sure that we encourage them to come to school to do the things that they're here to do, and that's to learn. And in most cases, make friends. That's what it's all about, making friends, because the friends that they make today, they'll have for the next 30, 40 years. So again, thank you guys, Dr. Kessler and your staff, and all of our educators for everything that they do on a daily basis.
Mr. Johnson, Dr. Verdi has those numbers that Ms. Smith requested.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Dr. Verdi.
Thanks, Dr. Kidzior and Mr. Johnson. So there are a total, Mrs. Smith, of 5,499 employees that are being monitored, either for submission of vaccination or for the weekly testing. So over the past month, there were 1,837 employees who were submitting the weekly tests. That number does fluctuate a little bit, as Dr. Kidzior was mentioning earlier. Some of those individuals are walk-on coaches whose seasons are either concluding or just getting started. Some of them are long-term subs that might be working 5 days a week, short-term subs that might be working just sporadically throughout the month, and also avid tutors and some other part-time itinerant positions. So, but that gives you an idea of 5,499 employees in our district that are being monitored. And I want to thank Ms. Velasco and Ms. Miller for helping me get that figure. Thanks, Dr. Kidzior.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for getting that for me.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Okay, then moving right along. I lost my place here. We're at
You're on page 120, Mr. Johnson.
120. Yeah, haven't been highlighted. Okay, action item, superintendent action items. Resolution number 202-12217, ordering a special election to fill governing board vacancies and setting forth the specification of the election order. I assume everyone had a chance to read this. Do we have any questions before I call for a motion on this item, please?
Does the superintendent have anything to say on this?
No, thank you, Mr. Elgin. I provided y'all the information, and I think unless you have questions for me, I think you're aware that the next election would be, the earliest could be April the 12th. And, you know, that's what this resolution provides for.
I'm ready to make a motion whenever you're ready, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, I am ready to make, go ahead, Mr. Hogan.
Ms. Smith, did you have anything to say before I make the motion?
Nope.
I just wanted to say that we had this discussion at the last meeting, and we asked the superintendent to bring this resolution forward today. So here it is. And I move that we approve resolution number 2021-22-17 as presented.
I will second that motion.
It's moved and seconded by Mr. Hogan and Mr. Smith. Seconded. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Hogan?
I'll move that we approve the actions on student disciplinary cases as presented.
Okay.
I
Mr.
will second that
Hoageen,
motion.
and I'll second it.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
Mrs. Smith? Mrs. Smith, okay. So it's moved by Mr. Hoageen and seconded by Mrs. Smith to approve the action on student disciplinary cases as presented. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hoageen,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, motion carried. So moving on to 6. Business services.
It's
Go
it's
ahead,
one,
Dr. Ketchum.
it's one, it's, isn't it 1.3A?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just
Yes,
making
it is.
sure.
Mrs.
So
Lopez.
Mrs. Lopez isn't
Oh,
here,
yeah.
so I'll be sharing this with you. These two
okay.
members are
Okay, thank you.
returning members, and they're renewing their terms for the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Adam Center and Karen Whitehead, and it's just asking the board to renew their terms.
And I have a question just for clarification. I believe I understand this, but and you just explained it. We're only approving the reappointment of these 2 members. The
At
rest
this
of the members
time,
are there.
the
Yes.
rest of the members have already been gone through the board process.
There's no changes there, no additions, no changes. Only these 2 members are being reappointed. And the 2
Yes.
members are Senior and Whitehead.
Adam Center and Karen Whitehead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. Just in case necessary for the comments.
Karen Whitehead.
Yes, they're on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking.
We're on page 126, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, that's where I am, but I'm looking for those names. My eyes are getting bad. Okay,
Under
well,
the 3rd paragraph.
yeah, he said Mrs. Whitehead. Where is it? Okay. What were those 2 names again? Mr.
Adam
Hoageen?
Center and Karen Whitehead.
ENT and Whitehead. Okay. Okay.
So I move that we
Then
approve the reappointments of Adam Zinner and Karen Whitehead to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Only those 2 names.
those 2 names. Okay. Can I get a second?
I will second that motion.
Smith. Let's see. Okay, it was moved and seconded by Mrs. Smith. The staff recommends appointment of the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee as presented. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hoageen,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. 3 ayes, motion carried. And 134. Authorization of parents, community booster club.
The district
Item
requires
1.
the district requires that that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. Yeah.
I'm that's the item. I started, so I should have waited.
No, that's right. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead. That's
The
right.
district requires that when you establish a parent community booster club, that the booster club go through training each year, and to meet the requirements of fiscal accounting and reporting, but also to be trained in practices that will support better accounting and better record keeping, and make sure that you're in contact with district people that can help you should you encounter any issues. These 2 booster clubs that are listed on the board agenda have gone through that training and are recommended to the board for approval so that they can continue with their work as booster clubs. It's Butterfield Booster Club and Canyon Springs High School Wrestling Club, Wrestling Booster Club. There are others that have gone through it, but they're not prepared to bring forward right now.
Okay. That is mandatory, right?
It's required in order to have a booster club in a
Required.
district.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay.
And I
Thank you,
appreciate
Dr.
that.
Gutierrez.
I appreciate that for the protection of the interests of those clubs and also for the protection of the district when it comes to finances and other legal matters, that training.
It's a procedural safeguard to help people from getting into issues.
So,
Okay.
So I'd like to move Ms. Smith, unless Ms. Smith has anything else to say.
No,
I'd like to
Okay,
move,
well then,
I'd like to move to approve the authorization
You know,
for parent community booster clubs for November 10, 2021 to December 31, 2022 as presented.
I will second that motion.
okay. Moved by Mr. Hoagin and seconded by Mrs. Smith. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hoagin,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson. Is he frozen? Mr. Johnson, can you hear us?
Breaking up for some
No.
reason. I didn't.
Mr. Johnson, you're frozen.
It seems like it's frozen. My screen seems frozen.
There you go. We can hear you.
Yeah, frozen. I don't know what the heck caused.
Oh, we lost him. Mr. Hoagin, oh, there he is. You're muted, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I got knocked off. I don't know what happened.
There you go.
My screen went totally dark. Okay, so let's move on. A little drama here. Okay, item I-13B authorization for parent community booster clubs.
No, we're on I4A, page 136.
We didn't finish the vote on I3B. Mr. Johnson did not vote.
Oh, I did hear.
Oh, I thought I
him.
did. Okay.
Yeah, I did hear him vote.
Yeah, but you didn't hear me. Yeah, you didn't hear me. Okay, I'll do it again. Aye. Motion carried. 3 ayes, no nays. Okay. Yeah, I think it's when my computer kind of broke down a little bit. Okay. Am I right? What I4 is where we are? Yes, sir. What you have, Dr. Verdi?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. This is item I4A, which is a recommendation to increase salary compensation and institute longevity for our management employee group or the non-represented group. Earlier this evening, our board approved the tentative agreement for the increase of 4% in compensation to our CSEA Association, Chapter 410. And the district is now recommending that same compensation increase be given to the management team, along with the institution of a management longevity pay, similar to what other districts do around us in terms of helping to maintain and encourage the management team to stay with Moreno Valley Unified School District. This proposal, Mr. Johnson, was also studied by our business team led by Ms. Lopez for feasibility and sustainability. And this evening we are asking the board to approve this for managers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board, any questions before I call for a motion? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the increase in salary compensation and longevity for management personnel for the 2021-2022 school year. That was written incorrectly in the it was written 2021-21, but it's 2021-2022 school year.
22, yes,
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it was moved by Mrs. Smith and seconded by Mr. Hoagin to approve the increase in salary compensation and longevity for management personnel for 2021-22 school year. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Holguin,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. So 3 ayes, motion carried. Next we have is superintendent action items. Dr. Katsura.
So, Mr. Johnson, because of the action you just took to increase the salary compensation for management and the longevity, as required by law, contracts for cabinet members must be approved separately and in public. And this would include for the 3 cabinet members, Susanna Lopez, Maribel Maddox, and Dr. Verdi, the 4% compensation and the longevity wherever they may land on that schedule. But it has to be included. It cannot be done without including it in their contracts, and you have to vote on each of them separately. So you just take each one and vote on them separately. So it's an addendum to their contracts and adds that into it.
So do I just call the name first?
Yes, just go through each one, please.
Okay. I'd like to get a motion on Dr. Verdi, please. I'm just calling name at random.
Well, he's not the first one.
Susanna Lopez is the first one.
Susanna Lopez.
Oh, Susanna Lopez.
Yeah, it's there's an order on the agenda.
I move that we approve the amended contract for Susanna Lopez, Chief Business Official, as presented.
I second that.
Is the move and seconded that Susanna Lopez be approved. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Holguin,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, motion carried. Now, the next one would be what, Dr. Verdi?
Maribel Maddox.
Can you say the item, Mr. Johnson? It's I5B. We're on page 139.
I5B. Yes, I5B.
All right, so I like to move to approve the amended employment agreement between the Moreno Valley Unified School District and Maribel Maddox, Chief Academic Officer, Educational Services.
I will second that motion.
Okay, it was moved by Mr. Holguin and seconded by Mrs. Smith. That Maribel Maddox, Chief Academic Officer. How do I say that?
Roll call.
Yeah, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Holguin.
And Mrs. Maddox.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Motion
you.
carried with 3 ayes, no nays. And then finally, Dr. Verdi. Can I get a motion on Dr. Verdi, please?
I move to approve the amended contract of Dr. Robert Verdi, Chief Human Resources Officer, as presented.
I second.
And Mr. Holguin. So it was nominated and approved by Mrs. Smith and seconded by Mr. Holguin to approve the contract of Dr. Verdi. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Holguin.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Motion carried with 3 ayes, no nays, no abstention. Okay. We move on to human resources. Page 143. Approve addendum to the employment agreement. And Dr. Martin Rex gets yours, Superintendent of Schools. So do I ask Dr. Verdi?
Thanks, Mr. Johnson. Yeah. I'll go ahead and introduce that. I also just want to say thank you to Dr. Katsura and the school board for the approvals that they gave of myself and my colleagues on cabinet and for the management team. It's greatly appreciated. I just wanted to say thank you. This next item, Mr. Johnson, is to approve an addendum to Dr. Kedziora's contract as our superintendent of schools. And as Dr. Kedziora mentioned, we do have to do these addendums to our contracts individually. And in this particular case, we are adding to Dr. Kedziora's contract the addition of the cabinet longevity component as part of his compensation. I do want to point out that this does not include that 4% compensation piece, as Dr. Kedziora's contract already does have a component that speaks to compensation that is a separate item and is not being addressed at this time. So we are just adding the cabinet longevity pay as a component of our superintendent's contract. Thank you, sir.
So just the longevity, huh?
That's correct, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you for that
So that's what we're
clarification,
looking
Dr.
for.
Brett.
So
You're
we're looking
welcome.
for a motion on that. We're looking for the motion on the longevity, correct?
Yeah. So I move that we
Okay.
approve the amended contract of Dr. Martin Rex Kedziora, Superintendent of Schools, as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, it was moved and seconded by Mr. Hogan and seconded by Mrs. Smith concerning Dr. Kedziora's contract. Well deserved. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Holguin,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, so we have 3 ayes, no nays, no abstention. That motion carries. Thank you very much and congratulations to you guys. Well, that's where we are now. Oh, future topics. Next board meetings. Any items that you guys have in mind that we'd like to talk about at our next board meetings? The next 2 or 3?
I don't have an item tonight, but I would like to say thank you because when I have brought up items in the past, they've been addressed almost immediately by Dr. Kedziora. And I appreciate his rapid attention to any of my questions, which seem to be many. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Mr. Hogan?
No, I don't have any items and no, nothing else to add to the agenda. I think Dr. Kedziora has his hands full and his staff his hands full and a lot of people being absent. So they don't need more from my perspective.
Yeah. And I agree with that too. The items that that's on our agenda, the things that he's brought to our attention are always right on time. So I appreciate that. He anticipates what he thinks or he knows that is best for our district. And I'm sure he's assured that we will fall right in line with it. And I appreciate that. So I want to thank Dr. Kedziora for his wisdom, as well as his cabinet for the work that they do for the entire school district, but more importantly for his staff that works for him. And with that being said, any other topic to bring up before? Yeah. Any future agenda items that you guys want to talk about right now, or you want to wait a while? It appears that Dr. Kedziora always put things on the agenda that we had been thinking about. So it's almost like he's examining our brains and just writing down what he sees. But if we don't have anything, just ask him to continue doing that.
The only comment is that he brings to the agenda whatever items he needs us to discuss and vote on.
Yeah, just continue doing that. And I like the variety as well. He doesn't miss any stones that he can turn. So I thank him for that. And I still love the student engagements. I think that's a great addition. And I think we just continue that forever. especially when we open up with the pledge, having young students to learn that at an early age and get acquainted with it. So as they grow, they too will be patriots. Mrs. Smith, anything you want to add?
I'm not sure where we are. Was that a future agenda topic, or are we now on comments
Anything
from
you
board
want to
members?
add?
I don't know where we are, Mr. Johnson. You have me confused.
We're still in the future agenda items.
Well, we already said we didn't have
I
any
was
future
talking-
agenda
I was
items.
talking about future. Mhm. Well, mine, we're not future, mine we're present, and I'm just saying, continue doing what he's doing. So you can look at it either way. But do you have any in the future?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, then with that, the board will, no, we already done that, right? So it's time to adjourn.
No, we're on letter K, Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Johnson.
Okay, yeah. Comments from board members and superintendent. Okay, I'm sorry. Shoot, I'm trying to get this thing done. Okay, Mrs. Smith, comments?
Yes, I do have a few comments. First, I would like to thank teachers, staff members, administrators, everyone who's out there in the trenches working with our students every day. I know that this has been a difficult year and that you are working hard and doing the best you can. And I'd like just to let you know that I appreciate you and appreciate all that you're doing, especially those that are working directly with students every single day. I know that it's a difficult job. Students are coming back. Things are not normal, and it's a hard task, and I appreciate what you're doing. I'd also like to say that October 29th, just before Halloween, we got out to some of the schools. We visited Butterfield and Hendrick Ranch. I love getting out to the schools, going in the classroom, seeing the students, seeing the teachers. It's just really a fun time for me. It reminds me of when I was working in the classroom, and I get a little nostalgic sometimes. So we brought a Halloween surprise. The students were very excited to see us, maybe because we were bringing something with us, but it was just a great fun time. I love seeing the students. So November 4th, we were privileged to go on a facilities project tour and see, we went to Canyon Springs. We saw first the new office. It has been reconfigured and rebuilt. It's just beautiful. It's a great working environment for our staff at Canyon Springs. We also saw the new multi-purpose room, which will be opening for student use soon. And they have never had a real multi-purpose lunchroom type facility at Canyon Springs. So I'm glad that we're able to bring that through Measure M to the Canyon Springs site. Also, we saw a little bit of the other building that we're doing. They built some new classrooms and some other things, and they just continue to improve at Canyon Springs. We also went to Moreno Valley High School. We had a great tour of the Performing Arts Center. We saw the stage, we saw behind the scenes. It is a beautiful, beautiful theater. And I think when community members get in there and see what a great place this is, they will be really impressed with what we have done at Moreno Valley High School. We also saw the Culinary Arts Building. We only saw the outside of that, couldn't go in yet. I'm looking forward to that in the future. And we also saw the new welding facility. Again, many improvements being made to our oldest high school, Moreno Valley High School. We drove by the new Moreno Elementary, not much to see there. All the work so far has been pretty much underground. I look forward to seeing when they're getting walls up and rooms built and doing a real tour of the facility then. Thank you to everyone who's been working so hard on our new facilities to bring our students the very best and latest in educational facilities. Last weekend, we attended the ASCA, the ACSA Awards, where our own Dr. Lynn Sheffield, Director of Student Services and Registration, was honored. Congratulations to Dr. Sheffield on, this was a statewide honor, so congratulations. And thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't let Ms. Smith go first because she already mentioned everything I was going to say. So thank you, Mrs. Smith. You did a great job. Just a couple of things that I like to add to what you reported. We also had an opportunity to attend the Trunk or Treat drive-through event at Vista Delago High School. And it was a great event, participating with a lot of staff members from different sites and the district office participating. Mr. Johnson and I had an opportunity to walk around and visit the different departments there. And the customs, I think Dr. Katsura showed some pictures of that, but I think the main point of that was that there were several community organizations also participating and also providing a lot of resources for the community. And the community members that came took advantage of all those resources and information. And I think it was a great connection, a great outreach to the community from the school district. So thank you for putting that together, Dr. Katsura and your team. I know you don't do it yourself, but whoever from your team does it, they did an excellent job. So thank you so much. And then I also wanted to mention, let's see, those already mentioned by Mrs. Smith, Butterfield, and Henry Ranch. We went there. Facilities tour was amazing. The AXA Leadership Summit, Dr. Sheffield being recognized. That was also an amazing recognition statewide. Just another proof of the quality of members of the team that we have in our school district. Yesterday, I was able to attend the strategic plan, LCAP meeting, presented by Dr. Katsura, an amazing presentation to many community members, staff members, and students. And there was another opportunity to see this presentation. Some of it, or most of it, we saw tonight. But yesterday was an opportunity for community members to give input, ask questions, and participate actively in the conversation. And that is another great thing that Dr. Katsura puts together, these opportunities, presentations for the interaction with members of our community with lots of information and full picture of what is happening in the district, what is planned to happen in the district in the next months and years. So I appreciate your presentation, Dr. Katsura. And then I like to mention about the athletics. I know Mr. Johnson is going to talk about that, but you know, the teams at the different high schools are doing an amazing job in different areas, different disciplines, football, water polo, and other disciplines, cross country and others. It's just an amazing demonstration of our student athletes, and not only in the classroom, but outside on the fields. And we have still a couple of opportunities to see how they develop. But we're probably hoping that we can go and see some of those games, some of those activities, and it's going to be great. So, and I like to join Ms. Smith on saying thank you to everybody who is out there working on the different sites and continue the services to our students in our community, and doing everything that needs to be done to make sure that our students continue in school, in their classes, in their classrooms, and receiving the services that they are looking for receiving from the school district. So thank you to everyone. And thank you to not only the administration, the management team, but also the employee groups for also being active out there, helping in many different ways, many times going beyond whatever their responsibilities are to make sure the services are there for the students. So thank you to the entire team, and looking forward to the next board meeting. I know there's going to be a lot of activity between now and then, and that is going to be a great meeting in December. So between now and then, we also have the CSBA conference. We may be able to attend one way or the other and get some information, updates, the latest and legislation and finance, all those items coming from CSBA informational items. So thank you so much, Dr. Katsura and your entire team for this meeting tonight. can't hear you, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had it on mute. Thank you, Mr. Hogan. And you and Mrs. Smith covered just about everything, but you did leave off a couple of things for me that you didn't know that you were leaving off. And so I want to thank the Moreno Valley High School girls volleyball team. Don't know if you guys know this or not, but they have what's called a fairly new volleyball team, a girls volleyball team. They've not had that. And they put some girls together and they did a wonderful job. They held their own against a much more dominant team the last time they played. And a few of us were there and we really enjoyed watching them. And the coach told us that she's got some girls that's going to be returning, but she also told us too that some of the girls that they had were brand new to volleyball. I mean, they played volleyball, you know, on the courts and things, but nothing in high school, nothing competition-wise. But they gave that one team that they played a run for their monies. So we do want to thank them and the coaches for the work that they did, getting those girls prepared and ready and enthusiastic about the coming year. Mr. Hogan talked about the Canyon Springs. I think he did. So I just want to mention that we do, you know, we went to several of their football games. One thing about it, the field, I just love that. I don't know if Dr. Katsura has anything to do with that. I know he has something to do with the buildings, but you know, we enjoyed ourselves in the stands and we ate pretty good. Now, I do want to say this though. There's a high school not too far from my house. I think it's called Vista Delago. You know, I'm a bachelor, so I don't eat that much. But when I go to their games, I'm telling you, they really take care of you. And not only do they take care of you, you have fun watching that football team of theirs. They've done a great job. They have a fairly new coach, but I do want to tip our hat to the coach and tell him thank you for everything that he's done for our students there. We've got some excellent students, academic-wise as well as athletic-wise. And then sitting in the stands, we have an area blocked off. And as I said earlier, we don't have to worry about, well, I don't have to worry about food because there's something there. So I want to thank them for that. And then we want to thank all of our educators for not only coming to work, but knowing that anything is subject to happen once they get here. This is not what they signed up for. We understand that people react different ways during different times. But I personally want our educators, as well as our staff in the office, to know how much we appreciate them and how much we care for them for coming out every day to teach our kids, knowing that any day, any time, something can break out and deter them from doing the work that they love to do every day. So I say, tip my hat to them. Thank you for everything that you do. We love you, and continue what you've been doing for our students by getting them educated and getting them ready for the outside world and for college and great employment. Everything else has already been mentioned. Thank Dr. Katsura and his cabinet for the work that you guys put in. I know it's not easy, you know, getting phone calls and listening to people every day about some things that goes on, and you know, and you just got to stop what you're doing to handle that. But you, just like anybody else, you love what you do, and you understand that those kinds of things come with it. But there is a reward when you see the kids improving and you see the kids graduating and going off to college, you know, you had a hand in that. And last but not least, Claudia, appreciate your patience, your kindness, and your work ethic, and your personal touch that you know, when you touch all of us. I'm not going to say when you touch me, but I'm included in there. But so I do want to say thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate you. And again, Dr. Ketzior, you're the man. You're the man. And I know you often think about the ex-Marine that was in your life. Just know that he did a doggone good job. And his wife did a have. Anything else, Dr. Ketzior? Anyone else? No one's. Am I on mute? Nobody's saying anything. Why is everybody?
No, I've got one more thing, and then I'm going to be done. I just got 3 slides.
Okay, good.
I'm going to show
I thought
at
so.
the end. So next week
Good.
is World Kindness Week, November 15th to the 19th. And Moreno Valley Unified School District actively participates in this. And we started an initiative that continues called Hearts United, which is a group of clergy and businessmen and businesswomen throughout our community that come together to spread kindness in our schools and in our classrooms and in our community. And they're going to be out in full force next week at our schools. And if you want to join them, please contact me. I'll be glad to have you join a school in this. But students paint kindness rocks. They do postcards with kindness messages to distribute during lunches. There's kindness awareness newsletter, virtual kindness grams through Google Classroom, kindness word of the week posted on social media where we're red, white, and blue to honor and show kindness to our veterans, and creating posters with kind words and art, friendship recipe cards, and handwritten notes to parents. Those are just a few of the ways and that our students will be engaging in kindness next week. And we know that Hearts United, the clergy and our business community that partners that work with us help us to establish a positive climate within our schools. And, you know, kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. So never miss an opportunity to use kindness, because it really does more than you can imagine. And on the next slide is Mr. Johnson, who is celebrating another birthday. Don't they call that another trip around the sun or something? It's on November. It's on November 21st, and we want to wish Mr. Johnson a very happy birthday. And thank you for all of your support through the years. We shine brighter because of you. And I don't think we're going to be in school when his birthday comes, are we, Claudia? So we're going to have to make sure that we get something in the mail or do something for you, because we don't want you to think we forgot. So, but Claudia's going to help.
Stop laughing.
Claudia's going to help get something to at your house happening. And then I just want to remind everybody that I don't know if you know, but schools across the country are they're changing their schedules because people are and no one wants to hear this, but it's so true. There's so much instability in the everyday happenings of people coming to work and students with COVID or not having COVID, and parents upset about, just everybody, just has different stress levels. And so districts are like San Diego Unified is not having school this Friday because everybody's so worn out. Moreno Valley Unified School District is no different, but we're having school this Friday. Thursday is Veterans Day, but also coming up this month is the Thanksgiving holidays. And November the 22nd through the 26th, our schools are closed. Is that right, Claudia? We have the right dates? The schools are closed, but the district office is open on Monday, isn't it?
Yes, Monday.
Yeah, on the 22nd. Yeah, but the rest of the time, the district office is closed. So on the Monday, the 22nd, it is open. and we come back to school on the 29th. So I just, this is upcoming and happening, and we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving or whatever they celebrate or whatever you celebrate with your families. But a season of Thanksgiving, a season of hope, and a season of prosperity, and a season of support, because the more grateful we are and the more kind we are, the more people see that, and really it helps make our world a much better place for us all to exist, and just not exist, but to thrive. So thank you to our board, thank you to our community, thank you to our teachers and our employees, our classified staff and our certificated staff and our managers, because every day they're presented with new adventures that they didn't know that they were going to wake up to, and they rise to the occasion. So we're just grateful for our students and for what they give us each day, but our employees for being there and supporting our students. So thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Very welcome. Well, the meeting is closed at 9:41.
Thank you.
Thank you all.